Here we go. There's a place I know where the warm winds blow. It's a party in the Gulf of Mexico. And when the weekend comes, your friends all cowl with a dress, Dos Equis in a flyer bow. TGIF, TGIP, it don't make no difference. It's the same to me. You're on island time, and your salt and lime is safe. Thank God it's Padre. Thank God it's Padre. We're getting that GA, it's gonna open soon. I know it's true, cause I read it in the island moon. Never have to leave, you're gonna see. Cause nothing good ever happens on TV. We'll meet on Soapback Beach to hang out with the bums. There's no need to wait until the weekend comes. You're on island time, bring your salt and lime and say, thank God it's Padre. Thank God it's Padre. Sitting on Bob Hole Pier, drinking an ice cold beer, and wondering how I landed here. Someone pinch me, I'm dreaming. Still sitting on Bob Hole Pier and nursing this lukewarm beer. Just wondering how I landed here. Someone pinch me, I'm dreaming. Just take SPID to the JFK. Set your GPS and you'll know the way. Get on Island Town and get in line to say, thank God it's Padre. It's Padre. Thank God it's Padre. Thank God it's Padre. Great job.
That's right. It's Island Moon Live on Facebook and YouTube. Coming at you live from Doc's Seafood and Steaks on a beautiful Thursday morning. Nice and kind of brisk, but not too bad. We got Ted Mendel, Dotson Lewis joining us, Tyler Thorson, Jay Gardner. My name is Jacob Boggs. We are glad you're with us. All kinds of fun going on. How you sound there, Jay?
And so, how am I sounding here? Yeah, make sure to turn mine off. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Perfect.
It's a strategy, you know what I mean?
I gotcha.
Yeah.
No, we were just talking before the break that we didn't have. I was talking to Dotson Lewis there, and today is the groundbreaking for the helicopter memorial at Sherrill Park, which was actually supposed to occur in May of last year.
Oh, 5 years before that.
Okay, about 5 years before that, so exactly. But that is at 10 a.m. this morning at Sherrill Park downtown. So
We think the weather will be not too bad. It's not going to be too windy.
yeah,
We've got the round table is going to be there instead of downtown at
Okay, great.
Del Mar, so don't go over to Del Mar for the round table. We'll be down there. The parking is okay. Just take your be peace. Don't be too interested in going down there too quick because they got the roads blocked off. But they do have the fence down now.
okay, yeah.
So you can park by the dog park.
You can park up there by the dog park. That'll be the best place to park.
That's what I was thinking.
But they're going to have some guiding if some people need to be dropped off and that kind of thing.
Are you going to have the usual dignitaries out there, like the mayor and the county judge?
As long as they have pictures of, if there's any photographers there, they'll be there, I believe.
Oh, yeah. No,
We'll
I'm
send
sure.
Debbie
So.
down there.
Yeah, Debbie will be there.
Well,
but,
thanks to Mike Scott didn't his daughter work at the place where they were redoing the
Yeah, I'd
Huey?
be able to have a copter up in Dallas, Fort Worth.
Yeah, Ray Huey.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Well,
great.
that's not the one I wanted.
What'd you want?
I wanted the one that just had the slides on it.
Ah.
I got to ride on one of those a couple of times. These are
Nice.
fancy, but it's fine. They've
Yeah.
got it painted up, but it's going to have to repaint it about once every 2 years probably. That's the fourth one we've had there.
Yes. Yeah.
They've got to take care of those.
Jeez.
And then we have ready
Corpus
with
does a good job of taking care of stuff.
Well, Ted.
we're ready for the submarine. We've got it in town.
Well, where do we put our
Yeah.
dirty diapers? Is it-
In the parking lot by the dog park.
okay.
Right.
There's
how
a
that
special
goes.
place for everything down here in Corpus, and we've already got some friends listening on and watching on YouTube.
Hey,
good morning
morning.
from the DFW area. So, Jake, good morning. And I know we've got a few other people kind of tuning in as well. Lots of fun stuff happening with Island Moon Live and some big changes and moving on. I know Dale kind of left a cliffhanger on our last Thursday's episode.
Yes.
And there's still a lot of stuff going on with different places to land and other markets that we're going to be getting into. So we will keep you posted on that. But in the meantime, you can always find us here on YouTube at Island Moon Live and on Facebook at the Island Moon Newspaper. And we are glad you are with us. Issue 1138 coming out, hitting stands today, and tons of fun and interesting stuff to get to. But one of the things I wanted to kind of talk with you about, Jay, while we've got you here, before you got to get running for work, because people have jobs. Imagine that. It's crazy.
Yeah, we got a crazy one today. That's why I can't make
Cool.
it.
So ISAC has been very impactful lately.
Well,
To,
yeah, right.
to say that. First off,
Sometimes.
congratulations on the 17.9.
17.9 million, okay, was in jeopardy, then wasn't in jeopardy, and now it's going to be pushed to 2028. So they can't, that's the Metropolitan Planning Organization through federal highway funds. Dog-eared 17.9 million, 17.9, we could call it 18 million. Yeah, plus change. For the mobility improvements in between Aquarius or Commodores, depends on which year you use, and Whitecap. So in the Island Moon, you printed the potential layout of that. So basically, when you're going down Park Road 22, there should be a grassy drainage kind of deal, and then a pedestrian cart, and then a pedestrian path, and then an e-bike path.
E-bike's got a chunk out of the apple.
Right. So what we had in our Island Mobility Plan was a golf cart path, and TxDOT doesn't want to mix golf carts and cars on the same thoroughfare, right?
Yeah. Well, they've got
So we can get an 8-foot wide path, but we've got to call it a bike path or an e-bike path, and then we can it'll fly. So,
yeah.
E-bikes
Nudge,
e-bikes
wink,
have changed
Yeah,
the
nudge, nudge,
changed the
wink, wink.
landscape. You know, we've got roaming gangs of e-bikes on the island
do.
now, which I absolutely love. If I was a kid and you told me that I could have a dirt bike, like a motorcycle that I could ride safely in the city, I would be all over that.
absolutely.
You know, it's fun.
I don't know. Give me a Stingray with a peace sign on the back sissy bar and
Yeah.
a slick.
with your ape hangers.
Yeah.
Right.
Dr. Brian Gully joins us this morning. What's going on, Doc?
Speaking of
Morning, guys.
ISAC, the chair
I
of
just want to say
ISAC.
something. I'm very rarely late, but if I am late, it's almost always because of my wife. Okay, I'm saying
Oh,
that only
here we
because
go.
I'm pretty sure she's not listening.
And
but
she
I-
doesn't listen to the show. That way you can throw her under the bus. Exactly.
Even right before Valentine's Day, too. Boy, you're really taking a risk.
I'll teach her not to listen.
That's outstanding. Okay, so
So speaking of ISAC, Brian Gully, thanks for joining us, is actually the chair of ISAC. Dotson Lewis actually used to be on ISAC with us for a long time as well.
Right.
But there's a lot going on with the beach. The beach maintenance guys are gearing up for hiring a bunch of lifeguards. They're manicuring the beach for Mardi Gras, so there's a lot going on out there. They're actually going to crank up the parking permit fees from $12 to $20.
Next year or when?
It'll be in 27 if it
Okay.
gets done. It's still got a long path to go besides getting a local support. And I know Dotson's smiling at me because
Well,
we talked about this in Parks and Recs and Water Shore.
and we thought we had it done.
Yeah.
And they dropped it. And now, of course, I'm with the veterans. And, you're 50%, if you're 50% disabled, you get it free. Why 50%? We're asking that question.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get that in, Brian.
Well,
So,
this was.
in our support, say veterans should get it free.
This effort was led by the city of Port Aransas.
Right.
And, they depend heavily on it.
Right,
They
yeah.
actually
Good
sell
point.
more permits than we do.
Right, that was
and there
theirs.
was a split because they have less maintenance, less beach to maintain than we do. So there was always a split where they'd give some of theirs to us and even it out. Well, now they want to keep all of theirs for their use, and I understand it. And so that's the new rules will be that they will keep pretty much most of everything they have, and everybody eats what they kill. And so there will be a push to try to make sure we sell as many as possible. You got to understand that I hate it, and I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going to tell a secret on myself that when it first happened 20 years ago, whenever, I didn't like it. I felt like I'd been on that beach since I was born, and I was grandfathered in and didn't have to get one, so I intentionally haven't gotten one 20-some years and gotten away with it. However, I'm going to get one this time, but it's $100 up in Galveston, and it's
Yeah.
$100
Yeah, it was
in South
32 a day
Padre,
at one
which is
time,
atrocious.
Yeah.
But we haven't had a raise here since its
Oh, yeah.
inception, I think, or at least 20 years ago.
And there are areas on the beach that don't require a parking permit. Like if
Right.
you go into the state park,
There are places you can
that's
go.
one. It's right in front of Bob Hall Pier. Once they finally redo all that parking lot and everything, all that area is going to be
And the Michael J. Ellis seawall.
and Michael J. Ellis Seawall.
And
yeah.
by statute, you can't use that money for anything but beach maintenance.
Yeah.
And that's the important thing. So yeah, you have to pay a little money, but it goes to a good cause.
And one of the biggest problems that I have with this is, they'll go around selling beach passes, before they give you a ticket in a lot of cases. Like, okay, either, flash your card or throw me $12 or here's a ticket. I don't know what the tickets go for these days. And I don't want to be telling tales out of school. But the thing is, you show up, you walk out of the jetty to go fish or see if anybody's catching fish, or you grab your board and paddle out. And then all of a sudden, instead of a warning, it's just straight to the ticket. Like, there you go. And then you still have to buy a pass.
Right.
And it's like, wow, welcome to Corpus.
Wasn't
Yeah.
Packery, when they put it up to us with the whole deal, wasn't it supposed to be free parking out there?
Well, after they closed it and put up bollards, and you could park behind the bollards for free.
Yeah.
No, they originally in the six-pack items they were going to put in a parking lot on the north side and the south side. There was going to be free parking. They realized that, well, we can't put impervious cover on the beach. Never mind.
We couldn't legally do that.
Yeah.
There was
That's
a
how
lot
you-
of those original plans that weren't good ideas, and at ISAC we fought them for years because they were dumb ideas. And one of them they finally got remember they spent a fortune building the bathrooms on the beach or something. They just got destroyed immediately.
Yeah.
We knew that. We said
Right.
that.
People
Don't do it.
stole the light fixtures out of them.
Oh,
Right.
those
They
stainless
stole
steel
it.
deals.
Yeah.
One thing out of the six packs though, there is a bright shining example of this though. Parks and Recs actually picked up the ball and ran with it, and they turned in an application to Texas Parks and Wildlife for boating infrastructure grant, boating access grant, to finally go back in and rebuild those ramps at Packery Channel. So
Right.
the ones that are there off Zahn Road, they had that really steep lip. They're going to go cut that back if they get
So
funding.
explain to all our friends out there in YouTube land why
YouTube land.
why they're too steep. What do you mean?
Well, so the ramps were put in. They built the bulkhead, and then they put the ramps in, which were articulated mat afterwards, right? So there's a steep little boop drop off there.
So-
that if you have a boat over about 21 feet, you hit the trailer because it bottoms out.
And scrapes on and potentially bumps off of the if you don't have a strong connection, you can remove your boat from your truck.
And if you're going in, then
Yeah.
bloop, bloop,
Yeah.
gone, and it goes away. So they're going to cut that back, add some AD access. That's one thing that we did that we've been pushing at ISAC for quite some time, and Water Shore when I was there 10 years ago. I'm dating myself, but yeah. So anyway, Parks and Rec's got to give out kudos to them. They're turning some things around.
Well,
So,
and they
yeah.
are. Packery Park right there is getting a restroom facility.
And showers and a lifeguard station and all
So
kinds
pretty
of
soon
things
we'll
there.
have,
As soon as they get their permit for wetlands.
yeah. Who
So
does that
you
fall
won't, there won't be a trail to Gully's house over there.
No, not anymore.
That's on the other side, yeah,
So, and
exactly.
speaking of Packery Park, right over, right in your neck of the woods, is getting a makeover with a pier and everything down there, right?
Yeah, so they're going to build what
Living
they call
shoreline.
they call a living shoreline.
Yeah.
It is to control erosion as much as anything else because they've lost a lot of that land there. In fact, where my property stops, I built about 20 feet back into my property to make sure I protect myself from their erosion, and it's already past that point, and it's eroding into my yard now. But that's going to hopefully stop that. There'll be sections in between. You might even see some seagrasses that were originally there come back if it's protected now from. But the main thing, that pier will not be a night pier, so it won't be open at night. There won't be any lights or electricity on it because the park closes at dark. But the construction period, they're going to pour a lot of this concrete and stuff they use on site. It's a big job, probably lasts maybe as much as a year, and they're going to shut the park down completely.
Wow.
So that park will be shut down for almost a year.
Will
while they
the
do all this
birding area
construction.
be open?
You know,
Should be.
I don't know. It probably
that-
can be, yeah.
Yeah.
But they're also going to add on to that. But they're going to
Okay.
build that and then connect it to the end of the original.
That's a big kind of upcoming and changing area finally on the island. I mean, if you think about it, we've only got kind of a finite amount of room before we get down past Sea Pines. And so as things kind of fill in through the years, you would naturally think that, of course, along Packery Channel will be some of the kind of hot spots. So that's cool. And I think, when you mentioned the living shoreline, when we had the canals open,
know,
which, yes, I will go there.
The
I will
living
go there
shoreline, the
again.
first living shoreline was actually, we built that
On
in
Aquarius.
Whitecap MPI.
Yes, yes,
So,
and
go check
when,
it out.
When you were telling me about what you were going to do, and of course, living down next to that area, I got to see them as they were building it. It's brilliant. I don't know why more people don't take advantage of that kind of structure. I mean, it holds fish, it helps erosion. It's relatively cheap. We'll call it. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
Nothing in
it's
government is
cost-effective,
cheap
yeah.
these days, but yeah. But yeah, that's a brilliant idea, and I'm excited to see kind of how things are going. And I know, speaking of the Whitecap area, if you drive on Park Road 22 and go over the Don Patricio Bridge, you can see the marina is getting work done at Whitecap MPI. So that's beginning. I saw
There's a lot going on over there.
they installed a porta potty a while ago, and I mean that means things are about to happen.
That's the sign of
You know,
progress.
yeah.
Yeah. You just put the occupancy and
Yeah.
construction permit, and put that on there.
Yeah, they'd contacted Willard Hammond and myself about some property there that they want to put some of that fill material on. And I said, of course, everyone can always use a little more elevation here on the island. So I said, make yourself at home.
Yeah, exactly. I'll show them a map of
Yeah,
where to put
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Well, I thought your story about filling in the parking lot was pretty clever.
Well, that's another thing we talked about because we've kind of readjusted what we think are our priorities for this area development plan, and going back at least as far as 2018, and bond money was available to build kind of a parking lot and fix the drainage and stuff and some lighting underneath the bridge right here we're looking at, and allow more parking for boats and boat trailers and people and whatnot, because it's a dead area down there that tends to fill up with water anytime there's a rain or a high tide. And so it's a relatively simple project in my mind. And I think Jay would probably agree that this is just a matter of building up that elevation with some fill so it drains off where it's supposed to drain, and run a little bit underground so you have your lights. And as you see, the parking lots over there are nothing but limestone
Yeah,
base.
yeah.
You don't have to build, concrete or paved area. You just need to have the same type parking. And what you're talking about is while they were building all that, working with all the agencies, and the agencies were posturing, is a good way to say,
Yeah.
with their own territory. And all these agencies were trying to build that. I was over there working with a paver that was working on the bridge, and he had to do the cuttings of the asphalt. So I go to him and I said, what are you going to do with those cuttings? He said, well, I have to give them to TxDOT or whatever. He said, but I got to store them somewhere. And I said, you know what? It's wintertime. And I had Market 37. Why don't you store them all in my parking lot? And then when you're through, at a certain time, they're going to pick them up and take them where they have to go. Well,
Yeah.
knowing, as I do, that they can't pick up the bottom 2 inches of
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
means I'm going to get 2 inches of cuttings one way or the other. And he likes it because he doesn't have to move it very far.
Yes, exactly.
And
It
then,
works
then
for
when he does
everybody.
move it, it's less truckloads to go. So I got mine for free. They spent, what did they spend on that Jay over there?
I don't even want to talk
Millions.
about it. Yeah,
Millions
it was a
of
lot of
dollars,
money.
yeah. So you
wasted
can
in
do the
vain.
same thing.
Yeah,
So when they
and-
did Jackfish, rebuilt Jackfish, there was a tremendous amount of fill sand came out of there. It belonged to the city, it was the city's project. They could have directed all that fill dirt to go right there where they need it for free.
Yeah.
Okay? And then they come along and they, as a government, can get those cuttings.
Yeah.
Okay? And they could have put those, they could almost build that thing at cost. Just at
Yeah.
almost nothing. And they've had, 8 years to do it?
How far be it from?
You know how many projects have gone on in the last 8
Brian,
years?
if you look over there, we actually only have muddle. We don't have puddle anymore because when they rebuilt this lovely JFK Causeway here and remilled it, the contractors were underneath the bridge, and they got tired of their equipment sitting in water.
Right.
Yeah.
So they magically found some fill.
Right.
In the far eastern side of it. And if you'll look, they match the grade from one side of the road to the other, the access roads. That's great. That's where everybody parks. Just keep going.
If you had
yeah.
if you had nothing but the sand, it gets packed with the wetness and the boats and the salt water dripping off the trailers and everything, and so you can park there. No one gets stuck there. It's not that kind of sand.
Yeah, no.
So
Just match the grade. But theoretically, they announced and reiterated at ISAC the other night that we have $2.1 million still left in the kitty for that project. So, in July we were at 65% design, and in December somehow we were at 60% design. I don't know how that worked.
someone
they
lost
said,
lost a page or two.
It's the
Yeah,
magic,
lost a page or
it's the
two.
magic of Thanksgiving, the missing
Exactly.
5%.
So, we're betting yesterday over under. Is that going to get done this year? All the permits are cleared. Everything's fine. They've talked to TxDOT.
Yeah, you
How
should
much
be able to
does
do
it
it.
take
You should be able to do it for the 2.1 million. It's so easy, especially
Right.
if you think
So,
about things. And
when
you
it
do
goes out to bid, you bid on it, Gully. I bet you'll be lowest bidder.
But I don't have access that the city has to their own projects,
Equipment,
right?
yeah.
That's what you've got to do is you
Yeah.
think a little far ahead. Okay, we've got a project coming up here. We're going to have to get rid of a whole bunch of material. What do we do with it?
Yes.
You
Well,
know?
and
Do we
that's-
do we pay the guy to haul it off? Or do
Yeah.
we tell him it needs to be put right there next door?
Yeah. Well, it's one of the reasons why ISAC exists is to help the city be as pragmatic as they can with area on the island and getting projects done. Dotson, I know you've got a big day.
Well,
Um,
yeah, but just on that, you remember when I was chair of the committee under there, and we had it all set up? It was
Yes.
ready to go?
Yes.
What in the world happened? Because they was gonna move the sand in there and all that and start building it up?
Yeah.
We had and then somebody left or something? You remember that?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
you put me on as chair, and it was there,
yeah,
ready
yeah.
to go.
Right.
What happened?
Somebody said
Some city manager.
some city manager
Or something.
said, "Hang on,
Yeah.
we've got to check with TxDOT," and then
And
in 2
TxDOT had
weeks,
already told us it was okay.
and then it was okay, and then in 2 weeks, that ACM left was
Yeah.
gone. I won't say his name.
Okay,
I just
don't.
won't.
Okay, that's why we don't talk about Voldemort when he worked on
That's
city council.
right.
Yes, but you've got it's a dedication for the
Right, we're going to dedicate the helicopter.
awesome. So tell us a brief story about
Sure.
how that came about.
Well, the city was trying to get it in there. This is, I believe, the fourth one, isn't it? I believe it's the fourth helicopter. Because it's rusted, and we started to look at the last one after one of the, some time ago, when we found all the parts had been cut up and it was in the base.
Right. Yeah.
So we found another one. They went through it, and somebody in the base
Said,
knew
"Take it."
someone that was building the helicopters, and they found a place they could find them. And there was someplace in Alabama. There must be 500 helicopter parts there.
Just sitting.
So
yeah.
they got the parts to get all the stuff fixed together. They got it fixed together. One of the gentlemen that was in the Vietnam War, he came in and moved it for us, and it's all there, and it's taken some time. The only thing you got to remember is hey, it's going to need, every so often, you gotta take care of that thing, it's gonna rust again.
Yeah, especially in that
And Parks and
environment.
Recreation have got to remember that or set up something. And
Yeah.
don't treat that group like they're treating the submariners right now, because we've got a problem.
Do what?
The submariners. Well, you know, the submarine, 3 pieces are sitting over at some warehouse, ready to go. But
The
they
sale
need,
for the submarine, right?
yeah, but they need something like $12 million for that. In order to do it, and they're raising the money, and they only have about $12,000 right now.
Yeah.
Now,
So-
where are they going to put that again?
Right next door, so you'll be, when you walk, supposedly,
Okay.
when you walk in there with the new sidewalk and all that, where the helicopter is, on the other side towards the street,
Yeah.
that's where the main walkway is going to be, and there's going to be something over it and all that, and so that will, and that's all, and they've got it
Now-
written up. They've done the design.
Right.
It's just a matter of getting the money.
Now,
And right
Dodson,
now
what
the
is
money-
that on the
What?
submarine?
What?
So at Sherrill Park, they want to put a.
Carroll Park, right in
But-
the,
but I mean, what
the
they're putting
entrance
there?
on the far side, away from the water, where that's gonna be the main entrance. The helicopter's gonna be right there.
Well, what are you talking about, the submarine that you're going to put?
The sale.
USS
on the
Corpus
Yeah, well,
Christi.
they-
or
when
The
they-
something.
top part
when
of
they-
the Corpus Christi? USS
Yeah,
think
that's
so.
the one
Okay.
when they went to Hawaii and got it all set up and everything, and they agreed after a while to move it. They moved it over to the where they have up in, I don't know where it is, up in northwest someplace.
Yeah,
And
'cause
it's
it's-
been moved down here, now it's in 3 pieces, and it's rusting all that, and it's in a warehouse.
All right.
And they're gonna put it together and
So
set
you're
it up.
talking about, and this is something I remember Barbara Canales has worked on it as well, several people in the past. Because that was USS Corpus Christi.
That's it,
I
and
was,
it's- well,
I was
they-
actually there in 1979 or 80
Well,
when they
some-
launched it.
A
and
couple
got-
Oh,
of
really?
people in the
Yeah,
city
I was at
went
the launch.
over there when they set it up
Yeah.
and promised to move it in.
So way you do that, and I did this when I was a port commissioner, I went down the port of Brownsville. They have a huge scrap yard, and they have the contract to scrap the naval ships.
They do.
So they
They
scrap.
still do.
They're scrapping these aircraft carriers. So they're
Okay, they
scrapping
have the scraps now, it's in 3
Right.
pieces.
Right.
And it's in a warehouse here, they moved
We
it
better
in.
get it
It's been
quick because
over a
it'll
year now.
be scrap steels too. And it's very
Scrap
controlled,
rust.
as you might imagine, because of technology on the ships. And I went down there, put my hands on the propellers of the Kitty Hawk, and said, I want to see if we can, Port of Corpus Christi can acquire these, and we're going to build a park eventually, which has been approved, right in front of the port building, under the old bridge, where the old bridge
Yeah.
is.
Right.
And I thought, and I tried, I don't think I'm going to succeed because I'm not there anymore, but I was going to keep that giant abutment, that big arch, it's 100 feet tall, that holds the last part of the bridge before it goes across. And I was going to, you can take old concrete and mix cement powder and just paint it, literally, and make it look like brand new concrete. It sticks forever, right? And that's all you have to do, and it's got power going up to it and everything. And I was going to put a giant Port of Corpus Christi sign there, because you drive down
Yeah.
Harbor Road, when you drive through it, you look right through that giant arch, which would be in that park, and you see the Port of Corpus Christi building and the sign there.
Right.
And I thought it would be great, and I ran it by everybody, including the maids at the building, and everybody liked the idea, but you just got to get it done. And then I left, and there it is. But I thought we'd put that 22-foot diameter giant bronze propeller up against that or
Yeah.
up there, and you walk out of the museum with these kids that go to the museum,
Look up at
and,
this
and they're
huge
going to go
thing,
get their
yeah.
picture
Right.
taken. How many people you see take their picture right here coming on the island of that mermaid, right? All the time. Imagine every kid is going to go up that giant propeller that's 20 foot in diameter,
Yeah.
and go, oh my God. So my point was, what moves everything in the Port of Corpus Christi? Propellers, right?
Right.
What's the one thing nobody gets to see in Port of Corpus Christi?
Because
Propellers.
they're underwater, hopefully.
Because people don't realize how big they are. And I think when you lay your eyes, it's
Yeah.
like seeing a giant anchor, only better, that you're going to stand next to that big thing and have your picture taken. And so we lost that.
I
Okay?
wonder
I
where
left,
the
it didn't
propeller-
happen. But there's still a chance we might get the, the Kennedy, the Robert F. Kennedy, or one of them's coming up next of those.
I don't know. I got a phone call from a friend of
They're
mine
not cheap. 'Cause I have
last
to
week.
pay
They
the
want to do a
scrap
Farrah
value.
Fawcett
Well, the
statue.
propeller should be available up in Washington. Propeller didn't come down, but it could be.
Yeah, well, the propeller would be incredible because those propellers on submarines are intense. Okay,
Yeah.
and that's the first thing I said, Dodson, is can we get the propeller off the USS Corpus Christi?
Well, I believe
Tell
they
you a
could.
quick story. When they launched it, Senator, Tower, his wife was the one that broke the bottle off of it, and then they slide it into the water. And this is at Groton, Connecticut. Dynamic.
John Tower.
John Tower, yeah, and his wife, they always let women do that.
An ironic name for
Took her
a man of his
Took
stature.
a couple of bounces before she broke the bottle, but then they slide it in. Well, on the other side, about 400, 500, 600, maybe 400 yards or something away, is a real low area that's open, and all the people that involved and their families were invited to come watch it slide in the water from the other side. We were
Right.
in kind of an enclosed area. And I had come, I was a resident at Bellevue Hospital, a surgery resident, and my dad was a city councilman at the time, so that's how I got my invitation. And I'd been on submarines as a midshipman in the Navy recently. So I got a permit to go, and so I had to ride a train to Groton, Connecticut. Well, I get on this train, and there's a bunch of nuclear protesters with their signs. So I make friends with them. I don't tell them what I'm doing. I say, "You going to the deal?" "Oh, yeah, I'm going." So when we get there, they all load in this old station wagon and piled in there and offer me a ride. So I get a ride from the train station to the dock. Well, they
Thanks,
pull up
guys.
the gate, and they can't go in the gate, right? They
Yeah.
lock them out. So I get out and show them my papers and walk through the gate.
Thanks for the ride,
Anyway,
man.
so they slide it in the water. And I guess no one thought about this, but it makes a hell of a wake when this giant submarine slides in the water. And
Yeah.
it pushes this wake all the way across this 400 yards. That wave keeps going. And all of a sudden, people start realizing we're at 3 foot above sea level.
They're like, "Here it
and that
comes."
wake's about 6 feet, and here it
Yeah.
comes. And all of a sudden, people started bumping into other people trying to get out of the way, and that wave knocked people down. And it was, it came about 2 or 3 feet deep across the
Yeah.
top of it.
They used to launch them
Nobody
down in
got hurt.
Biloxi. When I was a kid, we'd go down there in our boat and watch them. They'd launch them sideways.
Yeah, they do some of them sideways. They leave a pretty good wave, too.
Same type of deal. They make you back up, and then there's always somebody that cheated, and they would get water in their boat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's
and,
like
and
it's,
every once in a while, they'll dump one. I saw one in Russia or something one time. They slid it in the water,
Yeah.
and it rolled over.
yeah.
Well, you're talking about them taking apart the boats down there in the valley. I know where all the pieces went. They went to Sleederbond.
Yeah, probably. Probably. Well, you can't. You and I couldn't go down there and get one of those propellers.
No,
but a government entity like the secure entity like the Port of Corpus Christi
Yeah.
could do it. But the only reason it's not sitting out there right now is it would be about $240,000.
Yeah.
Because you have to pay the scrap value. The company's got a contract, right?
Yeah,
They
yeah.
pay $1 for that ship,
Yeah.
okay? And then they take that ship from the West Coast and they tow an aircraft carrier all the way around the Tierra del Fuego, right? Because an aircraft carrier cannot go through the Panama Canal, right? So they have to go all the way around. And I remember him telling me that when they almost got stuck in Brazil because they decided diesel was going to cost $8 a gallon instead of $2. So
Yeah.
that hung them up. It cost them a
Just
fortune to bring
pull it
all
up on the
around.
beach in
And then they
Brazil,
have to
and the
make
natives will
money
take
by
care of it.
scrapping everything.
They take them to Turkey, don't they? They dismantle them, a lot of them in Turkey.
And they take the props off first and they lay them on the deck. So you get a good look at it. And it was going to be so easy because we could have craned that propeller off onto a barge
Yeah.
and taken that barge exactly from that point to right where we're going to pick it up at the Port of Corpus Christi under the bridge.
Right.
And then install it, and,
And
there
we
you
may
go.
and we may still do it. I mean, I'm not there anymore, but I can still talk to guys, and see if they can do that. But I think it'd be cool.
That's another thing that's going to be popping up really soon is with the completion of the new harbor bridge and the destruction or dismantling, not destruction.
Yeah.
It's not like they just plunge it and taking down the old bridge. Is there's and this has been a conversation, ongoing conversation for years. Is what's going to happen to that area underneath the old bridge?
Right.
Well, I can tell you what's going
And
to happen to it.
but Brian
'cause
was
we've
saying
already done
that park you're talking about is called North Point Park.
Right.
And we are actually designing it at LJA Engineering.
Oh, nice.
And it lines up exactly with the museum and the new port building, and then the biggest stanchion of the new harbor bridge.
It's about
It's all
40
kinda-
acres, isn't it?
So you got the two guys that know more about it, the guys that authorized it and the guys that designed it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Well, I had a call last week from somebody wanting to put a Farrah Fawcett statue down there, and I told them they talked to the port, and it has to be a maritime theme.
Well, it's,
So the artist put a tail on her and made her a mermaid.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still counts.
And I don't know where all that landed. I did this story and it blew up. I got a call from the news organization in Philadelphia this week wanting to know about it. So I think it's moving forward. They've got the money. They just need a place to put the
Well,
statue.
we had a bunch of money for art for the new building, right? And what I wanted out there where that park's going to be is a big statue by Kent Elberg.
Yeah.
Because he is the world's
Yeah.
leading large wildlife sculptor in the world, and he's our guy.
Yeah, we've had him on
Yeah,
the
so
show
lives
before.
Right around the corner here.
I got to
right?
check, guys. Y'all have
World
fun.
renowned. I mean,
Jay, thanks for showing up.
Yep.
if you look at the IGFA, the International Game Fish Association in
Yeah.
Fort Lauderdale, they have a several acre the building and they have a park with water, and he did that, and it shows several stages of a sailfish or marlin coming out of
Right.
the water, and then because it looks like they're coming right out of the water.
Right.
And it's quite interesting. He did the one that was in one of the big banking centers in St. Louis and
Yeah, with the
Minnesota with
buffaloes.
the giant geese and stuff coming out of flock of
Yeah.
geese. He's world renowned.
Yeah.
And Kent's been around a long time. He's not going to be here forever. When
Yeah.
you
We went to the premiere of his film, the documentary. We had him on the show when they did that.
Mm-hmm.
There, it was. So we had an eventful week here on the island with the ISAC meeting this week. I know you guys covered some of that.
Well, I mean, we just before you sat down, Jay and I went over some of those things.
It was. There's a lot of progress there.
We're over it now, but there was a concern at one time that the city, which is a great project, great deal, is to take over the seawall
Yeah.
over on the beach.
Right.
Because it needs repair,
Yeah.
and if big hurricane does what Hurricane Allen did to it,
Right.
then those people that own it will not be able to
Right.
pony up all the money.
And
to fix
looks
it.
like
So-
that's all taken
and
care
they're
of.
not eligible for FEMA proceeds. So they did
Yeah.
all that, and they went to everybody, and they got everybody to sign off to the city, and then the city came back and said, well, we don't have any money to do
Right.
it. And they got upset, understandably so.
Right.
And so when I came to the TERS meeting, I was there, and he voiced his concerns. And so then the city council, of course, voiced their concerns. What do you mean? I thought we had the money. And we all thought we had the money, and turned out we didn't. So
It was
then
there.
they
It was
went
just
back.
it'd been moved around.
Well, they were going to phase it over 5 years, but you can't phase a project over 5
Right.
years. So
Right.
anyway, that's been corrected. They've gathered the money from different sources. I made a point last week, that the seawall, the original seawall fund,
Right.
that's a 1/8 cent sales tax that is there to protect the seawall. And it's not just a seawall; it's a levee system
Right.
that protects downtown, and it's also the pump stations that pump the water out when
Yeah.
it gets over there.
Yeah.
So it's very important, because if not, you wouldn't be able to get insurance for downtown buildings.
Right.
And if you can't get insurance, you can't get projects done.
Right.
It's done. You killed downtown.
Well, they said at the meeting the other night there's more, and I haven't looked this up. There's more wealth behind the seawall on
I
the
was
island.
the one that said that, yeah.
than-
and I
than
was very
downtown.
clear how I said at the meeting, TERS meeting too, that I would think that there's more,
Right.
and I know at one time there was,
Yeah.
I think there still is, that there's more ad valorem tax value behind the seawall
I
here
could
on the
see that.
island
Yeah.
than downtown value.
Yeah.
And so we have to protect it. So what they did is it comes up for renewal of 25 years, right? It comes up and they want to pass it. Well, most people in the city don't. Well, the seawall has been there. It's
Yeah.
concrete. We don't have to, why do we keep taking, let's do it, let's spend it on some other project.
Right.
So they were afraid it wouldn't pass and be renewed. So
they
they spread it
expanded the
out,
language.
expanded the use of it, and said we can use it for other projects around
It
the
took
city.
2 votes.
Huh?
It took 2 votes. It failed the first time.
Yeah. And so Heather comes and talks to us on the island. And so when I went to the TERS meeting last week, that's the point. First thing I did is I walked up to Peter for the meeting and said, how much money's left in that seawall fund? Because when I left in about 2007, I was there for 6 years. And when
Yeah.
I was president, I left. We'd fought tooth and nail to keep that money because it was a money grab. Everybody's always trying to get it they wanted to rebuild that Sunset Island that used to be out in the middle of the bay that washes away when there's a hurricane.
Yeah.
So you spend millions of dollars to put sand down there, and the first hurricane levels it all in the bay, and now you got to pay money because your bay is too shallow for the sailboats. So we fought that, and so when I left, there's $38 million or something in it, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's not going anywhere. It's there in case a disaster happens. And so I was made the point that there's no better project in the city to use seawall money other than our seawall, because it's important
Sure.
for protecting even more value than the downtown seawall
Yeah.
is.
We ran a picture
But-
this time in the moon when it 83 or 82
Oh, yeah, it was
they had to
terrible.
rebuild it.
Yeah, but the substructure was sound, still very sound. So that was my point. But the problem is that fund doesn't start accumulating money until April 1st.
Right.
And then it'll start accumulating money at the rate of about $750,000 a month to be used or set aside.
Right.
And the only issue kind of I had is that when they gathered more money up to do this, our seawall out here,
Yeah.
they took $2 million something out of our fund is set aside for maintaining Packer Channel. And that's what the original TERS was really
The
all
original
about.
TERS had required $4 million, and I don't
Right.
know if that stayed in the language when they redid the TERS. I think it did.
It's not going to be there.
Right.
So that was my argument. Let's save that, keep that money there, and let's take $2 million. And so my point to them this week was, can we take that as we accumulate it
Yeah.
in another 8 months or whatever, but the money will be there. Can we put it back in the seawall fund?
Right.
Swap it back.
Right.
Pay ourselves back. And they're looking into that right now.
Right.
How much money was in there? You said that when you left, it was 30-some million.
So, there's something like that. I don't remember exactly. That was
And what's the cost on doing RC Wall out here on the island?
15.
15.
Well, they spent 9 on the fountain place
Yeah, renewing
Exactly.
the
out of that money.
the
And that was, I wasn't there.
I know. I'm just saying, like,
Because
let's
would've
do
been
that
good.
so we
I'm
can
gonna
have a
tell
nice
you,
place for
we-
the homeless to bathe, and then you've got 16 out here. Like, no, we can't use it for that because that
Back
wouldn't make
then,
too
we
much
had a
sense.
good group of guys. It was several. People came and go, but Gabe Guerra and myself and Eloy Salazar was there. Robert Thomas. We were conservative guys. Hey, we're private
Yeah.
guys. We understand what money is, and all the guys there pretty much felt like our job is to protect the taxpayers' money and not let this money grab happen, because boy, they can spend $7-8 million. We fought for 6 years to keep them to spend a $7 million project on the barge dock. Well, for $7 million, I can pave it 3 feet deep with concrete. I don't care how it's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
well, it's all about finding the proper way to allocate money to use it, and a lot of that revolves around having a good marketing plan. And if you're looking for any kind of promotional products, you need to go down to talk to Ted at Impact Marketing.
Impact Marketing.
They're right at 423 Schatzel Street downtown. If you need, man, they've got drinkware, they've got stuff for trade shows, things for schools, things for your church. Whatever you need to get your stuff out. They do hats. I'm actually, this hat from the CCA banquet is from Ted. They've got the Richardson caps. They're the Peterbilt of the trucker cap, all the best stuff. They've got polos, embroidery, screen printing, you name it, they've got it. ImpactMarketingCC.com, or you can call them at 361-887-9300. Go see our friend Ted at Impact Marketing.
Hi, this is Michael Hall, candidate for Nueces County Commissioner Precinct 4. If you're like me and you haven't been happy with your tax bill for the last decade, then maybe it's time to elect some new leadership. Come learn more about me and my campaign at Beach Ball Brewing in Flower Bluff on February 10th from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. I hope I get to see you there.
All right, it is 0739 on
Michael.
a beautiful Thursday. Nice sunny day. We got Dale Rankin, Dodson Lewis, Tyler Thorson's refilling his cup of joe over there. Ted Mendel, Dr. Brian Gully. My name is Jacob Oggs. We're live on YouTube and on Facebook. We are glad you're joining us. Welcome. We've got a bunch of big changes and stuff going on with the show and our formatting, reaching new audiences and really blowing stuff up. So there's a lot of fun things we're going to get to with that. Dodson, we've got the...
It's good to have you here, Dotson.
Well,
We don't
got-
see you anymore.
Well, trying not to keep busy.
Yeah. So you told me briefly an earlier story about your jacket. This gorgeous USA windbreaker that you're
Well,
wearing.
the March of the countries.
Yeah.
I got to wear this one time.
What event was it?
64 Olympics.
64 Olympics. That's so awesome.
But
What was your event?
my event, well, I'll tell you, we invented volleyball.
And volleyball?
Yeah, we had 10 teams first year. Our first Olympics. We finished 9 in the 10th. But I was also one of the coaches of the women's team, which won it.
Oh, nice.
But they weren't American.
Yes.
It was the Japanese team.
The Japanese team.
Did you get a gold medal?
What? Sure.
You know what?
Why aren't you wearing it?
I'm wearing my coat. It's cold out here. I'm moving. That's the reason I'm here south now. I'm about to freeze to death. I'm telling you, this cold weather's killing me.
That won't last long.
Volleyball, I used to play, I used to love to play volleyball. And so when I was a midshipman and I was at the University of Texas, we had a team, it was Navy guys and a couple of Marines that we all trained with, and a bunch of tall guys that could
Yeah.
play volleyball. And we thought we were good. We really thought we were good. And there's like, 300 teams at University of Texas intramurals. And so we work our way all the way up to the finals.
Yeah.
And we played these little short Chinese guys, and they spanked us. It was so embarrassing. These guys were so good, and these tall guys just got whipped bad by these guys. You know?
Anabolic steroids.
Yeah.
How funny. Well, we have one of our friends, YouTube chat jumped in, getting back to some ISAC stuff. I guess talking about the Island Mobility Plan.
Yeah.
They're saying no additional quote unquote trails for golf carts until 2028. What do we know about
That sounds about
the
right.
current state of the mobility plan?
Well,
It's going through the process.
The big thing that happens going through the process, everything looks pretty good. There was a little bit of panic because we had a $17.9 million worth of projects that was coming through the MPO, and
It was stalled.
And Jay Gardner was
Yeah.
all over it.
On
And,
this show, got
he
it
called
moving.
me, and I called the mayor, and the mayor was actually on aware of it
Yeah.
and concerned about it as well, and because if we didn't get it approved by the city council,
By August, I think
we'd
it
approved
was.
it months ago
Yeah.
at ISAC because that was part of the process.
Yeah.
We'd already gone through it, had subcommittees evaluate, and then it goes to city council for approval, and then the money comes from somewhere else. But if we didn't approve it within a couple of weeks
Right.
or so, we could have lost that $17.9 million.
So
I got a nasty
we-
gram from City Hall this week for saying that ISAC approved it. I was informed that ISAC doesn't approve anything, so I sent them the definition from the dictionary what approved means and
Yeah,
such.
well, you're right.
There's still some other hoops it has to go through, but it's not. It's formalities. There's a hearing I think today,
Right.
and it's got to go through some. But all of those groups have already spoken in favor of it, so there's nothing really controversial.
So our
there.
job is to advise on it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And we have a strong relationship with this.
Well, the council
with
listens
this
to the
TERS
ISAC.
committee and,
Yeah.
and the city council and whatnot. And over and over, Mark Scott and several people keep reminding everybody they're not going to consider anything if
Right.
it hasn't gone through ISAC first. And so we're very well supported.
Now, I don't know if it's going to be 2028. I haven't heard a date, but I know once it goes through this process, it's got to go to Planning Commission and then back to the council, I think, for some, I'm not sure what
Yeah.
else. And within a few months, within a week or two, it'll be done. And then it just goes into the process. But TxDOT is going to do the design work, is my understanding. And how long that'll take, I don't know. I would hope they would take into consideration the Commodore's SPID intersection when they start redoing all of that, because that's going to be the pinch point for whatever happens. But they're talking about, we had word yesterday from the people at Whitecap NPI. They've started work on their marina down there and the boat storage down by the
They've
Don
already started
Patricio
building that
Bridge.
storage building?
They're doing the access road and the electrical and the drainage and all the grade work, and they're timing the phase one. We're going to have them on the show next week. They're timing phase one so that phase two will coincide with the opening of the water through the canals. And so they're hoping that that's going to happen sometime this year. And by the time they finish the first part of the process, they'll continue on and put the marina in and have it come up out of the ground. But they're putting the electrical in for the boat storage in anticipation of doing all of
Well, that building, when it goes up, you'll know because it's huge. It's going to be, by definition, those things are very tall, big buildings.
Yeah.
And we talk about this all the time. The problem we have with the TERS money and projects on Island is we may have overestimated how soon this vertical building is going to go up, because that's where the money for TERS comes from, is the increase in tax value.
Well, it's something
That's
I
a
was
good
looking
sign.
at this week, it's not only new construction, it's also increases in evaluations.
Exactly.
And that's, even if you don't build things, anyone who lives out here can tell you our valuations continue to go up.
Well,
So
that's, and I'm, I'm
$6
always,
million a year, I think, is what it
I
raises.
need an
it
office
is.
down at the appraisal district, because I'm down there every year
Yeah.
with a bunch of properties, mostly on the island here, that I'm saying, you keep saying it's worth Port Aransas values, but there's no street and there's no utilities,
Right.
and you
Yeah.
cannot build anything here,
Right.
period. And the elevation may need to come up 2 feet.
Yeah,
So,
well, and on top of the fact that you are literally being taxed on unrealized gains.
right. And
Yeah.
so that was the argument for these paper streets. Dale, you may know this, but 35 years or more ago, they annexed this area.
Yeah.
And this was
More
developed
than
and
that.
designed and it had platted streets so they can sell individual lots. But in the city, you can't plat those streets unless you have the streets and utilities in, right?
Yeah.
Well, so they took things that were unfinished here with the idea that sometime you have to clean that up, because if you have 20 different owners on a street on each side,
Yeah.
and
No-
the street
no one of
costs
them is gonna pay to
$2
build the
million
street.
or $5 million, not any one of them is going to pay the whole
Yeah.
thing. There's no mechanism for that person to get reimbursed as the other people take advantage of your infrastructure.
That's an
So
ongoing problem. They had a committee that was looking into that, and it hasn't ever gone to the council.
It advised, and that was a long time ago. and
Yeah.
it was-
I don't know whatever happened to
So
that.
now it's on the near or top of the list of
Yeah.
our priorities, because you can build a skate park, and it's owned by the city. It's not taxed.
Right,
And that's fact. There's a skate park doesn't mean immediately everybody's value goes up.
right.
But if you fix a paper street, and that they had suppressed the value because it's unbuildable,
Yeah.
right, undevelopable, and if you do that, even if you put something in a fee that as you come on to use it, you pay the city some of that money back.
Yeah.
That would work. But immediately, every one of those lots quadruples in value
Right.
or more. And of course, the big money is when they build a house or a building on it, it goes
Sure.
vertical. Then it's a multiplier.
Well, is that going to go on the bonds this year?
That's what we're talking about, is putting, what happened basically is TERS set aside $3 million to build 3 paper streets, both sides of Crow's
Right.
Nest and the Sand Dollar. And the utilities are Sand Dollar, and it's mostly design is paid for. And part of the design of Crow's Nest is already done and ongoing. And so those are the logical ones to do. And we were going to do it. And then they find out that just to build Sand Dollar is going to be $7.9 million.
Right.
Whoa, somebody estimated wrong.
Yeah.
And so that's when they said it's not going to happen, so they took $800,000.
Kind of went away, kind of went like the $30 million that was in the other fund.
And then I asked this week. Well, then next thing you know, instead of that, in my math, you still got $6.5 million.
Yeah,
And then next thing you know, it's 4-point-something. And then they took some the other day for the seawall.
Yeah.
And now it's down to like 2. And so
well, there was some sticker
it's-
shock that came in there about 6 months ago when the city staff came in and said, you're only going to have, I think it was $400,000 in the TERS in 2026 or 8.
like that, yeah.
And everybody went, well, what happened to all the money? Where'd the money? Who brought the money?
Once again, we don't stay far enough ahead of things. But it makes it a perfect project for the bonds.
Yeah.
The 26 bonds.
Right.
But because the design will be completely done, and they may have $2 million
But it's looking like
to throw in the kitty as well. So it may make it a very attractive bond item. However, what I'm hearing rumors
There's not going to
of-
be much bonds.
That's right. Were you at the meeting? You were at
Yeah.
the meeting, right?
Yeah.
You heard Michael Dice from Development Services.
He never came out with a
specifically
number.
asked him
Yeah.
about I'm hearing rumors.
Yeah.
And he says, no comment.
I'm hearing
no comment.
somewhere in the neighborhood of 50 million. And last time it was 170 million because our bond rating dropped because we don't have water.
Yeah.
And so the bond, they downgraded our bonds, which put a downward spiral on our borrowing ability. And so you're looking at $10 million per council district.
Yeah.
You can build you might be able to build a water feature, a diaper washing station.
Homeless
one in
diaper
the-
washing station.
Well,
Put
there was
one
an
in each of
argument,
the
there was an
council
argument
district.
about we don't need to spend money on infrastructure out here, and I totally disagree with that, because infrastructure is what leads, in this case, with
Yeah.
unplatted lots, it's what leads to development.
Well, I think,
There's a
you know-
reason 30 years those beautiful pieces of property never been developed.
Yeah.
There would be buildings all over those
Yeah.
properties, and everyone taxing entities would be collecting money all these years on it.
Well, if they're talking about we're talking about the mobility plan. It looks like what's going to happen is the cart paths are going to be built to the Don Patricio Bridge before there's development on the Lake Padre side, but they will put the paths in there probably before you see anything going vertical.
Well, they have to build those,
yeah.
and then they get reimbursed by the
Right.
money that's been set aside previously by TERS.
But some of that $17 million that TxDOT has, some of those paths will go down the TxDOT right away.
Yeah.
And presumably some of that money will be used for it. We got word from the Whitecap people yesterday that work that you see going on over there on Compass Street is going to be a restaurant, food court.
It's what one of the things that we've always needed. The island has I've always said that the island needs an early activation of community activities center.
Yeah, they got a little wordy on that one, but the ECAC. But it's good. But it's going to be. I don't know if it's restaurant or food truck. There's going to be some. We'll find out next week. But there's some movement over there.
Yeah.
And in fact, seeing the marina start to go in is encouraging. It's visible. It's right there on the main road, and they're also going to put some new boat docks in so you can access that area by boat. So we're starting to see some things happen. I wish we would see some progress around on Lake Padre, but I don't. It doesn't look like that's coming anytime soon.
You know, at least 15 years ago, I spoke in front of the Business Association here, and I had some big diagrams that I'd done.
Yeah.
And it showed the Lake Padre, and it showed that the marina in Port Aransas will fit in one corner
Yeah.
of the water Lake Padre.
Yeah.
One corner.
I know.
And that the entire city at that time, before they'd annexed some more land,
Yeah.
would fit inside Lake Padre.
Yeah.
The whole city of Port Aransas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is mostly undeveloped, and the reason it's undeveloped is all the water in there, no people can get boats if they can't get fuel. And the people that have fuel are the marinas. And they couldn't get to the other marina,
Yeah.
it's a long ways around, and then they can't get out. So those in bigger boats can be in Lake Padre because there's no bridge to go under.
Right.
But there's no fuel to
When do
fuel
you
a
think
bigger
we'll
boat,
see
so they'll
development
never
over
be
there? You got some land over there, don't you? When do you think we'll see development around Lake Padre? Have you heard anything?
I need to talk to Tim Lang
Yeah.
and these guys and just see where they are.
Yeah.
Because there's some things that holding up. I'm going to have to spend about $250,000 just to redo the cap on bulkhead over there.
Yeah.
Just like everybody
They've been
else has
sitting
in
there
Port
for a
Aransas,
long
but
time.
POA pays for it, but we're not in the POA.
Yeah.
So
I
it's,
had the drone in the air over in that area looking at stuff, and those the part of the area, I won't tell you what the guides call it. It's got a crude nickname, but you can ask Joey Farah that one. But the silt, everything, it hasn't been dredged because of the stagnation of a lot of that water. It doesn't have that much flow. The sandbars have built up in weird places. May
Yeah.
or may not be able to look at some of those aerials and find some good places to go floundering. But
Yeah.
For certainly, I wouldn't
Yeah,
look at that at
exactly,
all.
yeah.
Well, we saw the. I got a lot of reaction from the aerial that you shot of the oil rig hole over
Yes.
here
Yeah,
from the
so-
1940s. I tried to call Greg. I think he and I played phone tag, but the rig that burned there for several days back in the 40s, and it sunk down in the
Ernie
bottom.
gave that story.
Yeah.
Ernie gave that story. He said it was like 1939, and he said that
Yeah.
it took out. What did he say? It was like a quarter mile of the shoreline.
The rig fell into the hole and is still
and it-
down there.
Right, and he said it took out a lot of Laguna Shores all the way down to Bluff Landing. He said before that it was a flat surface, not this cliff.
Yeah, I have a contemporary story from that time in my files. I couldn't find the other day.
did they pull
highly
out those
organized
old pilings
filing
for the
system.
old bridge that used to come across here, that single?
They're still there, and you
didn't
can
see
see
them
them at low tide.
Well, we're low.
Well,
yeah.
Ernie was going over there when he had Snoopies and pulling them out and making
He made
lures
lures.
out, wooden
Yeah.
lures out of them. And it was funny because he would cut through those things. They've been down there since the 20s.
30s, I think.
And he
yeah.
would cut through them, and it smelled like fresh cut cedar
Yeah.
on the inside of them. They weren't deteriorated at all.
Right now, they removed the ones that went back towards Laguna Shore.
That's the ones I'm talking about because I don't see them now.
No, you don't
for
see
low
those, but
tide.
you see that one stretch that faces that way.
Yeah. Well,
I
Ernie
saw it
was
yesterday
pulling
going over.
them out of there. They were about 20 feet long. He had them stacked up.
I
over here
remember
next-
that.
for a while, and he was working on them, and they were about 6 inches in diameter, something like that.
That's what those cedar hackers did up there.
Cedar choppers.
Yeah.
When the cedar choppers, like your Oklahoma relatives, they move in, they never leave.
And just as a PSA, if you do grab any wood or something off the beach or pull up anything, be sure to wear, work in a ventilated area and wear a mask when you're carving a bunch of this stuff, because the resins in a bunch of those woods,
Yeah.
once it atomizes, can really do some damage on
Really?
you. Yeah, I had a friend that was making lures off of found wood from the beach. And he developed an allergy to it, and
Really?
he became real sensitive to light, and
So
and
fishing
rash
kills.
would break out, and yeah. So be
What-
careful if you're carving up stuff for.
We ran a
projects.
picture of an octopus on the beach this
I was
week.
going to say that
just north
we've
of-
seen. You had Jace Tunnel. He had sea pork.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like sea
I know
pork.
Jace finds stuff on the beach that I've never seen before. I
And the
guess
squid
you have
eggs.
to have an eye for it, I
Yeah, the
guess.
squid eggs and the other buttons that were popping up there. But I've seen a cuttlefish that washed up, and it looked like an octopus. I think Dr.
Yeah.
McKee told us
It's a
about this one.
squid.
But the white one, he says, that if you find a white octopus, there's no place that you can run enough water to them to save them, so you don't take it to the Sea Life Center. Just if you get a chance, throw it back in the jetty in the rocks where it lives, because it has no chance just laying there.
We see them down here quite. There's a lot of octopus here. One time
Yeah.
we were diving, my son and I came up at the same time behind the boat, and I looked around behind it, and on his tank was an octopus sitting right there. So I grabbed it and threw it in the live well, and we took it back and put it in a saltwater aquarium. Of course, as you know, you can't keep an octopus in a saltwater aquarium.
No, they climb out.
They are
Yeah,
so
they're
smart.
like really, really intelligent.
And
right?
they are very smart, and they will find a way out.
Wily.
I
They're
knew
wily.
that. I thought I'd done it. Next thing I know, we find it in the garage. As
Yeah.
we got out, walked as far as the garage.
Right
I
there.
mean, we all watched Finding Nemo, right? We saw that.
You know what they'll do is you can put them in a mason jar, and they'll unscrew the top.
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, yeah, they're smart.
Yeah.
They're one of the most amazing
They
animals.
stick their suction cup on there.
Yeah, and just
turn it,
you're like, oh, this one lefty loosey, righty tighty. Yeah,
Yeah.
When you're inside, it's different.
it's different.
That's right. It's backwards.
Yeah.
The
It's like
article
Australia, the
in
water
this,
flushes backwards.
This issue of the Moon, Jace is talking about sponge crabs,
Yeah.
which are little muscly looking things. Pretty interesting stuff. All kind of wild.
I don't
And
know.
We'll have Jace on here shortly. I'm sure there's.
Jace is like a local influencer
cranks it
star.
out every week.
Yeah, he's a rock star.
He's a rock star now.
Yeah,
Have you
his
seen how
dad-
many followers he
his
has
dad
on
was a rock
on
star.
TikTok
Yeah.
and Instagram? It's insane.
His dad had the job that I wanted to have. Marine biologist, archaeologist. Like, man, I didn't know they made those.
Wes, his dad Wes taught
He's an
taught me.
influencer that actually knows stuff and does stuff.
Yeah.
And so we worked with Wes started going down to Veracruz to an island called Isla de Enmedia. And when I was in college trying to finish up club classes to get into med school, and so Wes and I were pretty tight because we had the same interests. And I used to go, before he went down there, I used to go down there, and I knew the lighthouse keeper's name was Pancho, of course, and
Pancho,
I'd
of
stay in a
course.
little concrete building, and we would spear fish until we broke everything we had. Because this guy turned us on the tarpon and said, I need, for my bait, for my lines, I need these tarpon. They're filthy with tarpon, big tarpon. And you'd spear those tarpon, and they would beat the hell out of you and eventually tear up all your equipment. And then we'd patch everything up, and then we'd go home and go back next year. And we had one time we were in a 13-foot whaler. We go back and forth. Then we had a storm, sunk every boat except mine, and we got it out of the water in the middle of the storm on the beach. And the storm was over. There was no boats left except masts sticking out of the water.
You're like
And-
Forrest Gump.
Yeah. So I would always trade stories with Wes about what's going on in that reef, and
Yeah.
he was I thought this was kind of boring, but he was studying mollusks. That was his thing. And
Yeah.
I go, Wes, could you have picked anything? more
What happened to
boring?
sharks?
Let's get
Yeah.
but he was a great guy, really smart guy, and then of course I got to know Jace because when I was president of the
Yeah.
Maine Estuaries
Yeah.
thing. So, and his wife also
Well, they've-
brilliant. So,
We had, Debbie? We had 3 turtle releases this week, I think.
okay.
Yeah, I
3 or
think yeah.
4.
So
The aquarium did a secret one, not secret, but a non-public one, and obviously
that's
that's a
secret.
secret because Jan and I were there.
The only people that know are the turtles, and they're
Well,
not talking.
And they're not
No,
talking. The Sea Life Center did like 65. The aquarium did over 300.
Cold stunners.
we
Yeah.
we
and
took
then the
in
Ark's done several.
we took
releases.
in 350 roughly, and I'm on the executive board of the Texas State Aquarium.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a secret.
No, no, it wasn't. It wasn't open.
Jesse
It
didn't
wasn't,
tell
yeah.
us at the board meeting this
Well, they
week. that-
can't
No, no.
publicize them because
Yeah.
if you publicize them, you have to have
Crowd control
permits,
and
and
permits
you
yeah.
can't get permits in time to.
Yeah.
When you're on a short fuse to get the turtles back in the water.
There were a few people who just
So-
happened to be on the beach who came upon that, and they were pretty excited because they get to see it really close up.
That
because
seems
they
like
really weren't
such
there.
a waste of an opportunity.
It does.
You
It
know,
is.
we're down here.
I think they have so many that they'll have public
Yeah.
ones. And
That's
they'll promote them, but
bureaucracy
they just
at its
can't-
finest.
They
Yeah,
can't do it to
exactly.
all of them because
Our-
there's so much work.
Our culture around Corpus revolves around the water. Like we're a beach people.
Yeah.
And this is just such a missed opportunity. We have to have a traffic plan for a turtle release,
Yeah.
city hall permits, insurance. Everybody's got to
You
get
have to
their
have
piece.
security
Just, man,
and
it's
all of the
just-
stuff that goes with
So
it.
let me work on that because I agree with you. If we, and this would be good for the aquarium as well.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
It's national news sometimes.
Yeah.
And if we could, even if we had 300 turtles,
Yeah.
let's go release 100 one day, 100 another day.
Well, it
100
seems
the
like
next
you
day.
could pre-file the paperwork.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
then just.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what
so you sort of have like a standing.
And just
Like a
have
rubber
it-
stamped one.
We
It's like,
don't
here, this one's,
have-
you use this one now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we don't have cold stunned
Have a-
turtles in July. We know the period of winter when
Right.
we have
Yeah.
them.
Right.
So-
When we need some tourism.
Yeah, yeah,
When we need
exactly.
them, yeah.
And
Well, we've
so
been-
the aquarium's not busy. that time
We,
of year
we
either.
do a poor job in this town of promoting ourselves north of Swinney Switch.
Yeah.
We don't put our message out there. In fact, as we're going through the turnaround on this show, one of the things we're looking at doing is putting out about a 3 to 4 minute
Coast
what's
report.
going on coast report to put into the San Antonio Austin markets. We had some meetings this week, and we're going to pursue that. I've reached out to some people in San Antonio. We need to let them know on Thursday what's going on down here. What's the
Right.
weather like? What's the fishing like?
Well, and Thursday's usually the day when a lot of people are making their decisions if
Yeah.
they're going to come down or not. If you live in Corpus, it's like, okay, well, what's going on?
Yeah.
And by Friday, if you've already decided, and it's like, okay.
And it
here's the
seems
beach
like
and the truck, we're going
low-hanging
fishing.
fruit, really,
So
if
many
you're the
things.
Convention and Visitors Bureau. Why would you not be doing that? We know that's
they
where
are
our
doing that.
visitors come
You know
from.
that the CVB does do that.
But to reach out directly to those TV and radio audiences that are there every Thursday, make it updated. Don't do image stuff. We got a sand sculpture festival.
So let me
going on,
take that
whatever
back
it
to the
is.
board of the aquarium and see if we can't
Yeah, I
work
mean-
on that. Now, there is some good news
You could
I have.
publicize the turtle release.
That's right. So we've talked about on this radio show before, and a lot of us are concerned about the turtle program down National
Yeah.
Seashore, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's a big
Yes.
development, but I don't know what happened because I wasn't in the room. But
Yeah.
after the executive committee meeting at the aquarium,
Yeah.
immediately they went into a meeting of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife,
Oh,
Parks
really?
and Wildlife.
What are they talking about?
They're talking about taking over in some way that we don't lose that whole turtle
So we're not
program.
going to lose that program that they
Oh,
stopped.
Because
wow.
they say it
doing at
takes
Penn's,
$3 million, they want to shut it down. And as you know,
Yeah.
and I know,
They got
that
rid of
part of
other-
that could lead to the fact that, okay, no one's looking after turtles, so we're going to restrict access
That's
down
where
the
it's
beach.
headed.
Yep.
That's where it's all, and that's our concern. So, and I've been talking to
The state?
General Landoff, yeah, because the last, or the before Bush was, what's his name? He was a good land commissioner.
I know who you're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
They always carried the pistol.
Yeah.
I like that guy.
That guy.
Anyway.
Well, he stepped in when they shut it down. There was a government shutdown, and they closed the park. And they kicked people out of their cabins down on the backside of the island, and it caused a stink. And the land commissioner sent him a nastygram and said, you can't do that. And so now we're going through this process. I wrote about it a couple of weeks ago. What's going to happen is they're going to jump up out of the weeds at some point and go, well, we found rules
Yeah.
that say you can't drive in when the park was formed, they wanted to take the bottom 40 miles of, this is before Mansfield was cut through. The bottom third of the park was going to be a wilderness area, so the public couldn't go down there. So now if you say, well, you can't remove the turtle eggs from the beach, you have to incubate them in place. Well, the next logical step is you can't drive there.
That's right.
And when that happens, the spit's going to hit the spam because the people here are not going to like that. And there are deed restrictions when the land was transferred from the private owners. The state is in the middle of that, what you're talking about, when the state can step in and claim the land. And that's where things are headed.
That was
There is
Jerry
a thought.
Patterson.
Patterson.
Jerry
Yeah.
Patterson.
Yeah.
So I
He
think-
was great because we
Yes.
had him, and he goes, "The hell they
Yeah.
will."
Yeah.
Now,
And I
Yeah.
think he told them that there is language when it was transferred over.
Yes.
That you cannot restrict the public
I
access
still
to
have a
that
copy
deal.
of
And
the
if so,
letter.
it can revert back to the general land office,
Yes.
which I would love to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's-
so I know these people locally have been working on it, and I
Good.
talked to Renee Garcia and tell her, I said, make sure Dawn Buckingham understands
We had
that,
this fight.
that her vote's on our side.
Yeah.
Not those guys
Right.
don't even live
Well, we
some
had
don't
this
live
fight when the Nature Conservancy was going to buy the 3,680 acres that is in Clayburgh County, and the park was going to give it to the park. And the park, at the time, I kept doing stories. They're going to block off the beach. You're going to drive a mile south and have to go 16 miles around to get to that beach. And Todd Hunter stepped in, and Greg Smith got involved, and they went to the GLO and the what is it, the Rochelle
Foundation.
Oh, yeah.
stepped in and bought the land and stopped that because that's what was going to happen. And now we're right back where we started. It's like it
Yeah.
never ends.
They're-
Like
well,
whack-a-mole, yeah.
They're always going to keep this fight up because
Yeah.
ultimately that's really what a lot of them want. And they say, "Oh, this park would be great if it weren't for the people."
Yeah,
Well,
and
it's a federal park, which should be enjoyed.
We had
by
that
people.
discussion here.
That
when,
is always the balance between preserving nature and allowing
Yeah.
access. It's
well,
always a
it's
delicate
not
balance,
like
but-
it's not like you're overrun with people down at the Mansfield Cut.
Yeah, well, that's part of the charm. I've been driving down the beach for decades and decades. Same thing with Tyler and Dr. Gully. You know this. I have never seen a sea turtle with a tire track from an F-250
Yeah.
across it. You know, the trucks
Yeah.
aren't the threatening
It's the
cause
sharks
to
and the
turtles.
boats.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
Yeah, sharks and boats.
And no one
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
come up with a single case where a car has killed one. Now,
Right.
I'm not saying it never happened, but you look at a while back, we lost 14,000 turtles or what it was for the whole Texas coast
Yeah.
in Uri, right?
Yeah.
And God forbid if one day one car runs over
Yeah.
one turtle, considering how many we lose every time in a freeze,
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
going to change the population of sea turtles.
Well,
in the
we
Gulf
ran
of Mexico.
into this before with them. I don't want to see the green turtles all getting cold, stunned, and dying. But when we had that hurricane that came through and cut the pass off at 42-mile mark, there was a lake that was washed over and closed up finally, and we were rescuing redfish and taking them back and putting them in the surf. And they said, no, that's nature's way. That's what you can't do that. You cannot do that. I'm like, okay.
Nature's way is they gave you the ability to think about that and the arms and legs to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And therefore you can. do
Well,
Right.
that's what it sounds like the park is saying that,
You have two different definitions of survival of the fittest.
well,
there.
what this
Yeah.
is nature's way is it's like, well, this might be too
many
too
redfish.
further north for
Yeah.
the turtles to survive. So that's kind of like what
Well, Brian, you
Well, they
said
are
they
too farther north. That's why we have all these turtle programs.
you
Yeah.
said there's an effort to stop that from
Right.
happening.
They had that meeting.
How does that process
I'll
play
call
out?
Jesse and find out what happened in that meeting. But they had all the people
Really?
that have a say in that room. And
Good.
I think Chesney, who's been working on this too, had a big say in getting that group together.
Good.
And
Because you got to get ahead of it, otherwise they jump up and go, well, our rule, you got 30. We had hearings, and in 30 days
Yeah.
we're closing
Right,
it
yeah,
down,
yeah.
and our rules say we can do
Yeah.
it,
Right.
and you're stuck.
And we were talking
They-
with Nick Meyer about this when they were doing the NEPA things back in the day, and it was like, this isn't the time nor the place. Like, why would they be doing this? And there's so many
a
convoluted
compendium.
things coming from Penns right now, and it's a lot of kind of shady.
So
to
are
say
they
the
looking
least.
at, Brian, are they looking at reviving the Donna Shaver's program, or is that what part
well,
of the
I
process?
don't know what came out of it, but there was a thought that we at the aquarium could take over some of that and move some of it to maybe the park that's closed, where the part of the beach is closed.
Yeah.
But I don't. I've always wondered why they didn't do it at St. Joe Island. I
Yeah.
mean, we couldn't be able to see the turtle releases. Okay.
Right.
But they would imprint on St. Joe Island.
Yeah.
And
That might be
that's
too far
18
north.
miles of beach that's way bigger than Rancho Nuevo, where they originally came from in Mexico, rather
Right.
the original.
Well, I'm glad that there's somebody paying attention to that, because it's something it's always out there, and it doesn't. By the time it bubbles up to the public consciousness, it's too late. We
Well-
saw that with the 15-mile-an-hour speed limit.
Yes. Yeah.
They came out, and the park came out and said, okay, we're dropping the speed limit to 15 miles an hour to save the turtles. And it was pointed out that you didn't go by your own rules. So then they went and they held public hearings that found that there was no impact to dropping
Yeah.
the speed limit after they'd already dropped the speed limit.
And here's the other deal. Traditionally, Kemp's Ridleys don't nest even at South Padre until the middle of April. The speed limit goes into effect the 1st of March, which is why we're holding the Big Shell cleanup on February 28th.
Yes, you are.
That's why we have it the last weekend of February before the speed limit goes down to 15, because it takes us 2 hours just to get to the
To
cleaning
get
area
there-
at
to get there to
25.
clean up. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well-
But how would you deal with that, Brian? If it's a federal park, wouldn't you have to go through their set of rules in order to do
There's
anything?
probably some paperwork.
Well,
Yeah.
no.
How
no.
would you- would they-
Yeah, they would have to agree to let us take those. But this is kind of close to my heart because when I was a kid, we had a cabin down 2 miles this side of Mansfield.
Yeah.
And we would go there all the time. And I grew up on that beach. And then, of course, when the seashore took it over, about a year later, they burned the cabin down, filled in
Right.
the well, everything, ran us
Right.
off. But my dad took Henry Hildebrand, who
He was the
first,
godfather of the turtle
he was
program.
he was the first real marine biologist.
He
we had in
flew them
South
up
Texas.
here, right?
Huh?
He flew turtles up from Mexico.
My dad is the one that went
Yeah.
down with him, and they brought those turtles back. Some of them went to
Which is why they're farther north now.
well, some of them went to UCC, and that was the original idea in the
Yeah.
60s, or in the late 60s, I guess, that's 60s. Some of them went to our house. I mean, we raised them in our house, in our own house. I mean,
Yeah.
when the parents
Of
weren't
course
around,
you
we'd
did.
have
So they
turtle-
come
turtle
back.
ice
So
cream.
now their grandkids come back to your house.
They want to
Yeah.
nest in my. I don't live there anymore. So, but the rest of them went to UCC, and Henry and them took care of them there, and we got them up a little bit bigger, right?
Yeah.
And when my parents weren't around, we experiment with what they would eat, right?
All right.
And you didn't
So
get
what are we
salmonella
doing?
like you do with the red-eared sliders,
And
right?
you
gotta
couldn't- you
understand,
couldn't- you couldn't Google it
then,
back then.
My dad was a diver, commercial diver, and we used to eat the turtles, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to say this, but I got pictures of me as a kid standing next to 3 dead turtles when we were fixing to butcher, right?
Yeah.
It was not illegal then, and there was turtles, and there still are turtles everywhere.
Right.
But they weren't nesting here. They were nesting in Rancho Nuevo.
Yeah.
And then they were slaughtering them down there for the eggs.
Yeah.
And so that was the original idea, and that was, we brought them up here, and then we released them here.
Right.
And
so
it's
then
quite
it perpetuated
possible a
them
few of
staying
those
here.
turtles here started out there.
Yeah.
And then, of course, they did it on Donna Shavers did it on a much bigger,
Yeah.
more sophisticated scale.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why we have so many of them
But
nesting
it-
here.
Yeah.
Who would know that now means they may want to take our beach away from us?
I know.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
It's-
So it's your fault.
We shouldn't have to choose between the beach or turtles.
But what's frustrating about that whole process is we have so little say in it.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
you go behind the Fed curtain and you're on their rules. There's nothing you can really do, but they just come up and say, "This is what we're doing," I was reading the history of the park. The original legislation went up to Lyndon Johnson, and the Park Service wanted to designate it as a wilderness area, and it went to his desk, and he said, "This doesn't meet the criteria. It's a public park." So this goes all the way back to the early 60s, and we're
Right.
still having this fight because we don't pay attention, and the next thing you know, you turn around and they bring in a superintendent who's killing off the turtle program.
Okay, so a few months ago, I brought it to the board at the aquarium. Is there anything we can do at the aquarium? Because we have the largest animal rehab facility in
Yes,
the
you
United
do.
States,
It's
period.
amazing.
Okay, sitting right there.
Yeah.
And we're the number 3 aquarium in the United States. And so we also formed what's called the Oceans and Wildlife Institute. And that's a board I sit on. And so it's developing quite a bit of power and recognition, thanks to Jesse Gilbert and the group at the aquarium.
Right.
And it's becoming a voice to be listened to when it comes to rehab.
So
and-
they can
and-
go
and
through the
rescuing
federal
animals and stuff,
side and get
right?
some traction.
And so that's what
Hopefully.
kind of this meeting may hopefully help too, is say we want to help. How can we help? But that's not a acceptable path to go down.
Right.
So
You're going to have to get the National Park Service to the table somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's going to happen through the political
And they may have
side.
been at that meeting as well. They should have been. I think they were.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that was just
It
last
just-
week, and I'll have to find out.
You know, I look at it from a marketing standpoint, and I just look at you got 5,000 people down there watching a turtle release, and they come in and kill the program. It makes
Yeah.
no sense to me.
Yeah.
Well, and doing your part definitely helps, and it's great to jump in your four-wheel drive on February 28th and get down to Pins to help the Friends of Padre with the Billy Sandiford Big Shell Beach Cleanup.
Yes.
And if you're looking for a nice way to upgrade your four-wheel drive,
transition right
you got to
there.
get over to Frank
Segway.
at Discount Motor Company, right there off of 6601 SPID. He's right between Turner's and the movie theater. He wants to buy your old car or truck. So it's worth it going in and talking to him. Don't go to one of those big box places where they just farm something out, or there's some kid just saying, oh yeah, well, here's what you need and here's what you want, and let me go talk to my manager. No, go see Frank at Discount Motor Company. You can call him at 851-2900, or just go to discountmotorcompany.com. He wants to buy your car. Go see Frank the Bank, and he'll make it worth it. You can get in that brand new or new to you fleet vehicle, four-wheel drive. Get in that nice brand new pimped out F-250 and get down for the beach cleanup. And then after the beach cleanup, you can show up to the Barefoot Mardi Gras parade that's
right.
going on the same day.
And you can
11
check the conditions on the causeway with his live
JFK,
Yeah,
cam.
that's right.
JFKcam.com.
Find out how the traffic
It's a
is.
nice camera.
What time is the beach cleanup? It's like 8 o'clock in the morning, right?
Right, and we didn't change the time. You all changed the time because you're actually, you're already
I
in
know,
Lent, so
I know.
you have to
I
make sure
know.
you don't give up
In
mimosas or whatever it is.
Yeah, I know.
Or Bloody
but,
Marys.
But the parade doesn't start until 11, so
Right,
people
right.
could theoretically do both.
We've done it before, but it's
Yeah.
not. I get it, but
No, there are years, every once in a while, we're
yeah, and
on top of
it's
each other.
it's tough, but we're stuck by that speed limit, so that's why we hold it the
Gotcha.
last Saturday in February, hoping hey, it
okay.
might be warm.
It'll be,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It might be
Well,
warm.
Lent
Warm enough,
starts.
but you can
Lent
still drive
starts.
The 14th, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the
Yeah,
day.
the
It's the
Valentine's
day
Day.
after voting starts.
I thought- yeah, when is
it's
early
Wednesday.
voting?
Early voting starts on Tuesday, and Lent starts on Wednesday. So
Okay.
if you
The
swear
13th.
off voting for Lent, you only have one day to vote.
Yeah.
You have to get in there on Tuesday.
So get on it.
Yes, you do.
So I tell you, we had the thing from Mike a while ago that the race in Precinct 4 it's kicking up some dust. There's been some,
There's been some insults flung around.
having to do.
I'm not a
with
big fan of the negative campaigning, and one of those candidates came out at the gate just negative.
Well, if you listen to the campaign rhetoric, we got a lot of sorry people running for office because everybody's throwing rocks at everybody.
else, yeah.
They back in the 1890s, you'd have a duel.
Yeah.
Well, I think the problem is if these guys that are running against an incumbent,
Yeah.
Yeah.
the incumbent always seems to have an advantage because they've
Yeah.
been there.
Name recognition,
And you got
yeah.
a good look at them, you know who
Yeah.
they are. But sometimes that's bad. So if
Yep.
you can
Yep.
also nitpick
Yeah.
decisions they made and second guess those
Yep.
decisions. And so that's what they have. It's all they have to do is say, you did this wrong. I wouldn't do it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so sometimes that tends
Well, I
toward
think
that.
That's
I
a
hate the
little
ones that are
different
black and
telling-
white and make it look like he just molested the kids in
Yeah.
middle school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're getting. It looks like, and we've stayed out of the political realm on this show. We don't really
Right.
go down that road. I
Yeah.
think after the March primary, we're probably going to have a runoff in the congressional race out here on
Yeah.
the island. So maybe we can have whoever the two candidates are that come
For
out
sure.
of that, have them on, because that's back to the point with the National Seashore. That's something that we should be talking to those candidates about.
Well,
About things that,
Vincenti-
things that
Because
matter
they
to us
can
out
actually
here.
make a
Yeah.
difference,
Yeah.
whoever wins that
Any
race.
one of those three guys, right? We got Vincenti Gonzalez,
Yeah.
who's
Well, they
the
keep
Democrat.
dropping out, but their name is still on the ballot.
Well, that's
Yeah.
that's
Yeah, I
the
know.
problem.
That's Scott Mandel's name is still in the ballot, although he
And-
dropped out. Yeah.
Vincenti has helped in the past and offered to help. And then the two guys that are running against him, I don't know Eric Flores, but I know Luis Buntello. And
We know Luis out here.
Well, he's
Yeah.
a good man. And,
Well,
and
he
I've
worked.
been-
He worked for Blake,
He worked for
he
Blake,
worked for Blake Farenthold
in Washington.
for years.
He worked for
and they worked for Mike Cloud too.
for Cloud.
So he
And
is
then
a
he
known
worked for
quantity out
Chenier.
here.
Yeah.
In the private sector as their government
Yeah.
affairs guy, and
Yeah.
he's as honest as the day is long, and
Yeah.
and he knows what's going on in Washington, so he can step in. I don't know the
Yeah.
other guy, and I certainly
Eric,
don't have anything to say
Eric
about.
Flores has been spending a lot of
And
time
actually,
up here.
Yeah.
Vincenti is not a bad guy either. I
Right.
mean, he's
Yeah.
helped whenever we needed him.
Well,
Well,
you
that's
also,
good
and
to
the
know.
thing
That's
that
good
gets
to know.
lost in all the campaign rhetoric is you have to, you want to, which party is going to be in the majority in the House? You want to be on the right side of that fence. whoever that is, because otherwise you got a junior congressman
Who
in the
can't-
minority
Yeah.
party.
Right.
And so that's a real part of the process, and it has real world consequences, just like we're talking about with the National Seashore. If the Park Service won't listen to us at the grassroots level, you got to go around them.
Yeah.
You got to
Well-
go to Washington, and you got to have somebody there that can go into Congress and
Right.
threaten them in some way,
Well,
because that's
also-
the only way you're going to get them to the table.
Also, it's time to decide whether do we want to continue to have our representative down the valley, or do
I
we
think
Yeah.
that's
is
the
it-
fight.
Is it our
We
turn to
carry-
have
Yeah.
our representative up here?
In
Yeah.
our
'Cause
district,
there's
we
two from
carry
down there.
53, was
There's
it 53%?
Yeah,
We've got the votes.
53% Republican, and if you look at the numbers, if you get into a runoff, and with that many candidates, you got, even though
Yeah.
some of them dropped out, they're still
Yeah,
on
they're
the
still on the
ballot.
ballot,
You're probably going to have a runoff, and if you do,
Yeah.
you're looking at 8,000 voters on the island. You're going to have around 6,000 of
And
those are
and
going to
some
vote
of-
in a runoff,
Yeah.
and you're only going to have maybe 20,000 votes. These congressional seats have 750,000 people in them now, but only 20,000 people turn up for a runoff in a party runoff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if 6,000 of them are here and
It's
4,000 or
gonna matter.
5,000 are in the bluff,
Yeah.
there's your race.
Your vote
But
is going to matter out here.
Yeah.
in
But
the
when so
runoff
many
for
people
sure.
drop out here and then turn around and throw their support to the valley,
Yeah.
Yeah.
doesn't help us ever.
Right.
Yeah.
I
So-
think that's really the issue. I think that there's two things to look at. The first is the influence that our vote will have in a Republican runoff, and then the second is who's going to control Congress after the midterms. How do we fit in with all of that?
Yeah.
Because you've also got an issue going on over at CCAD now.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's been in the news. They're talking about another 1,000 jobs. There's a threat there.
So
And-
we've got a new EDC director coming on, CEO, coming
Yeah.
on next month, right?
Yeah,
And
that's
he
right.
was a former commanding officer of Mayfield Naval Base at one time, okay? Which
Yeah,
is the
she's got
third
some
largest
military
Navy base
background.
in the world. So he has some good military background, right? And so I talked to Frank McNiff yesterday, our cohort over on
Yeah.
Wednesday.
We love
Wednesday
Frank.
show.
We love Frank.
And Frank's retired, Coast
He's a
Guard.
retired Coast
Yeah.
Guard guy.
And
Yep.
so I'm talking about getting him and the new guy who's named Aaron Bowman, great guy. We'll bring him on the show to go tour the base because the Coast Guard wants a training facility somewhere, and we are fighting hard to get that here
okay.
because be thousands of people come in.
Yeah.
Is that
We
the
would have-
rotor?
No. It's just Coast Guard, but it'd be thousands of people that would be coming through here. So we need to kind of get the barracks going, and we would need to take the hospital back to a
So
little
it'd
bit more of a
be a
hospital.
training facility?
But they need a secure facility, and they need a hospital and some barracks, which we don't have that, but we certainly have the land.
Yeah.
The ability to do that.
Right.
So we're going to, soon, next month or so, when he comes in, we're going to look at that. Hopefully we get Bob Paulson
Yep. Yep.
to come with us.
If we
'cause
only
Bob-
had a way to get
and
it
if we get
cold.
Jason.
If we only had a way to get a hold of that guy.
Well, to get a hold of, if we could get Bob Paulson, Jason Gunning,
Yep,
Frank
Jason.
McNiff, and I can bring.
Well, they're talking about,
See what we can do.
they're facing a downturn in the number of jobs there, significant numbers from
Huge.
what I've seen. And it's kind of, it kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
There
At the
was
base,
nothing,
yeah.
and then all of a sudden, and it could be you look around, basically we have the port, CCAD, and tourism. That's our industry.
Mm-hmm.
And you kick one of those table legs out, and now you got a problem. You got the water problem at the port.
There's not many projects begging the port to do something right now either. It's the lowest I've ever seen it.
Is it because of water?
A lot of it is, yeah. So there's a big meeting on water. I don't know if we even want to get into it, but there's a big meeting in the groundwater district over the Evangeline project Friday. I'm going to go to that meeting because
Yeah.
I have a 11.5 million gallon a day project that has an application in that board, and I'm next in line.
Right.
So I'm very
Well, you know,
interested
you
in,
look
and
at-
I've actually signed a deal with Evangeline that we are not in any way going to interfere with theirs.
Yeah.
And not,
But you
and
look
same
at
thing
the-
worried
not
about
with
that.
ours because we got too many people trying to intercept water that's trying to get here.
Yeah.
As it is.
And
we
that
don't
doesn't
really fight
recharge
each
that
other.
much. That's a slow.
But you're
a slow
talking
recharge.
about real world consequences for this stuff. I mean,
Oh, no.
you're
It's-
talking. So we voted, rightly or wrongly, not to build the Inner Harbor desal plant. And what's the downstream consequence? Our bond package went from $170 million to somewhere, nobody's saying it out loud, but around $50 million. that impacts our lives here.
So let's look at this stage 1 disaster, right? It's curtailment.
Emergency,
Curtailment,
stage 1
okay?
emergency,
That they
whatever, yeah.
won't say that.
It's
you know,
gonna restrict the major water users 25%. And here's the problem.
Yeah.
And I won't mention which one of the refineries, but I'm in discussions with one of the person that runs one of
Yeah.
our big major 3 refineries. They have been cutting back as much as they
Yes,
can,
they have.
as long as they can.
Yes, they have.
They cannot cut another 25%. That's not there. They would have cut it before.
They would have cut
Yeah.
it before. I think
So
people
we're
forget
at
that these are
risk.
major businesses that run,
We're-
and they pay for their inputs, and they pay for that water, and they're not in the business of wasting
So I'm
money.
going to do Bob Paulson's job for him a little bit here.
Yeah,
You know, 'cause
absolutely.
I'm
Go
a
for
big
it.
supporter of industry because I know how
Yeah.
And so when you hear a city councilwoman, I won't name her name,
Yeah.
figure it out, that doesn't like industry, and she's on the news last night saying only 4% of our jobs come from them. Well, that's the biggest
Oh,
blow to
that's-
the
yeah,
nonprofit.
yeah.
The port-related jobs, which encompass all those industries, is over 100,000 jobs
Yeah.
now, directly or indirectly.
Directly and indirectly.
Well, you
what-
get into
indirectly
retail, you
matters.
have a money
Directly,
multiplier
when the
effect.
directly goes away,
Yeah,
Yeah.
then you lose the
Indirectly
indirectly.
starts going
Yeah,
away.
it starts.
Yeah.
It starts
Okay.
a whole
That's a-
dominoes.
yeah.
and so, as opposed to us, they're going to tell you got to cut your water back, and if
Yeah.
you don't, now they said $4, and $4 is cheap. I mean, nobody's going to cut back your water if it's only $4, but they're going to
Yeah.
say you can no longer wash your car or your boat.
Yeah.
And as a
Even
person,
with a
you
bucket.
know, I got 22 boat slips over in Port Aransas that I rent out. These people come, when I come out fishing, I'm covered with blood and guts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, we
Yeah.
can wash a lot of that with saltwater washdowns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then your boat is encrusted in salt.
Right.
Yeah.
And your stuff starts to tear.
Well, I
down real
just,
quick.
if I look at I listen to that rhetoric that comes out of City Hall, and it just makes me wonder, what's your alternative? So you want to kill off the port industries, then what? Then what do
Yeah.
you do?
I think people have to stop looking at it as an us-them thing.
Right.
Like, we are all part of the community. The people at the industry and the people and the base and the hospitals and education, we are all make up parts of this
You don't
community, and we
know
need
what
to look
would
at
happen
solving
to
the
city.
problem together and not cutting out a piece of that.
Oh, the state of Texas, especially
Yeah.
being what
And
the
that's why the
largest
governor
energy
is-
exporter.
That's why the governor's
Port?
so involved,
Yeah.
because,
Yeah.
and Todd told me recently, he said, he leaned over and said, the governor's not going to let this happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
said, well, the governor can't crap water, okay?
Yeah.
But he can put,
He can help.
but he can put in
We're
money,
gonna find
he can put money into the crapper.
Yeah,
And-
but the governor understands that if we lose some of that refinery capacity and some
Oh,
of the
yeah.
chemical,
Yeah.
It's not coming
that,
back.
that you're not flying those planes out of DFW because that pipeline runs from here to there that gives
Yeah,
them the
that
fuel.
gives them the fuel.
And there's
Right.
more flights out of there than any.
Well,
any
I did
airport
know
in
that
country.
the port put out its
Huge
annual numbers
implications.
this week. In fact, I put them in the moon, and they're down. The oil exports were down a little bit. I think about a percentage point and a half, something like that. But natural gas was up.
Well,
The
a lot
liquid
of that's, a lot
natural
of that's
gas.
the price.
Is it?
When oil
Yeah.
goes down to 59 or whatever,
They're not
then-
moving
as
then
much of
some,
it?
some
No,
people
yeah.
hold up and say, "Hey, we need a little bit higher price."
Well, maybe you know the answer to this, Brian. I keep wondering, all the stuff going on in Venezuela, does that affect Citgo locally?
Well,
I mean, I don't even.
Citgo could take that thick crude, that heavy crude.
Yeah. That comes
So
out
yeah,
of
if
Venezuela.
all of a sudden a lot of it starts coming from Venezuela,
Yeah.
then yeah, it can affect the price of oil.
But they the Venezuelan
in our
crude oil,
production.
they have to basically float it out of the hole with, what was it, kerosene, I think they use.
Yeah.
Because it's such heavy crude,
Yeah.
and not very many refineries
Right.
can work that.
Yeah, they like the what was Lago's rapper name?
Light sweet crude.
That's it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, Venezuela, if the United States does what's right for Venezuela, which
Yeah.
it should, is help them get back on their feet so they have a more stable.
Will that
government
affect the
and
local
get freedom of those
operation at the Citgo refinery here?
people. It's got to.
You would think it would.
It's got to, because they can use that crude oil.
Yeah.
And for a while, Valero and them were could use it too, but they were having trouble using the other lighter form. But now
Yeah.
they've made transitions. so
Valero,
they can use
years
it.
and years ago in the 80s, got into that. It was they bought this heavy crude refinery down here when Bill Greehey was running, and everybody thought he was nuts. And then it turned out he was the only guy who saw what was coming. As you look, you're talking about the MPO. As you look forward, what kind of stuff is on the horizon? What's
Man,
coming
that's
to
where
town?
that's where we need to talk that when Jay's here.
Yeah.
Jay knows Robert over there, and
Yeah. But we were talking about the land under the old Harbor Bridge, we had Barbara Canales on this show a couple of years ago, and she was working on a plan for that. Now it's all coming to fruition. All that, I think it's 40-some acres. Ownership's going to revert back to the city, the county, and the port.
Some of it automatically reverts back. For instance, the port's property, that was donated, so it automatically belongs to the port.
Right.
The rest of the property, some of it is the county courthouse. Well, that's automatically going to go.
They're going to use some TERS money down there to tear it down. It
Yeah,
sounds
they
like.
are.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it, a big chunk of it, will probably go to the city. But that's why it's so important that they started that planning 2 or 3 years ago. And that's one good thing that Barbara did, is that she was passionate about that and wanted to get everybody together. And from the port side, we had Jeff Pollock, who's kind of a designer anyway, right? So he was kind of helping facilitate these cats, this herd of cats, right?
Right.
Because you got people
You don't
that
want turf fights.
traditionally don't necessarily always work together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you got 3 of them dividing up property,
Yeah.
and this is an opportunity that very few cities ever get,
Yeah.
where you have
Yeah.
a blank slate
Right.
in the middle of
In the middle of downtown,
area
yeah.
to plan something really cool. It's
What's
gonna be
the
one
highest
chance,
and
one
best
chance in
use?
a lifetime.
What do you do? What's the best thing to do?
Well, that's I'm going to leave that to all those people. We have a park because we are on the waterfront.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the port has put money into a park that everyone can use.
To us, yeah.
Instead of building
their
a
land.
lay-down yard or something that would
Right.
be ugly, right?
Right.
And
But if you did it as a park, you can always come back and do something else with it
Always,
later.
yeah.
If you go in there and you build the wrong thing, then you're stuck with it.
and
it's
that would
a-
open up that view, ships coming and going. Everybody loves
Yeah.
to see that.
Oh, everybody
right?
loves that. Yeah.
Well, it seems to me like the long-term salvation for our downtown is residential. We've talked about it before on this show. You need people living down there.
we need more people living down there.
Yeah, and you're starting
there-
to see some progress in that direction, it looks
Yeah.
like.
So the main thing is a mobility plan,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
This is an opportunity to have a mobility type plan down there, that whatever's built down there, it circulates around and you can
Yeah.
make the whole loop. You can walk it,
Right, so
run
you
it,
can walk
bicycle
it, yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
And that helps downtown a
Yeah.
lot.
Well,
And it helps.
over the years, I would sit in city council meetings or watch city council meetings, and you would hear them. We're going to create a world-class tourist destination in downtown, and I would think, no, you're not. You're not competing with the pyramids.
Yeah.
So come up with something that's workable.
Exactly.
And finally, it looks like we're moving.
Yeah.
So
we're-
this might be a good opportunity, just
Yeah.
thinking out loud, to have that TERS.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So that right now, no money is coming from that stuff at all,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Right.
So, and some of it will be a port park, you're not going to get anything from that.
Yeah.
But if they open it up to businesses and stuff and make a mini Riverwalk like San Antonio, you know how hard it was to get a Riverwalk?
Oh, yeah.
It's already built down
Well,
there.
now
Yeah.
it's you can't think of San Antonio
Without
without
thinking
thinking
of
of the
that, no.
Riverwalk.
Yeah.
And they had to do it the hard way. We
Yeah.
have an opportunity to do something the easy way.
Well,
Because it's
well,
not
they
built
had
on yet.
they had the Riverwalk was they were going to fill in the river. They were going to cover it and make it an underground drainage tunnel. And Henry B. Gonzalez, to his credit, stepped in. He was at the tail end of the process, but he got the money done. And I lived down there in the 80s, and it was dangerous at night. And so in
Yeah.
30 or 40 years, it's really changed because you had a few key tenants that came in. Southwestern Bell, people forget that. Southwestern Bell moved from St. Louis to San Antonio, and when they did, that's when the Riverwalk came to life because they put a couple of thousand employees down there. That produced retail, it produced
Yeah.
living space. You saw it in King William area. Once you had residential in there, everything started to change, and you're seeing that to some extent here in Corpus.
Downtown.
Finally, we're starting to see. It used to be they kept trying to turn it into something that it wasn't. If you're coming here from Austin or San Antonio or Dallas, you're probably not. You go to the aquarium and the Lex. That's it.
Yeah.
You're not going downtown.
Yeah, yeah.
You're coming out here to the
Yeah,
island.
you've got a downtown
You've
in
gotta
Houston or Austin.
do
or San
something
Antonio.
to make people go down there. Well, if
Yeah.
they live there, that
They're
you solve,
already there,
You
yeah.
solve that problem.
Right.
Well, and
Which is why they built the Cosmopolitan, and there's.
I think
there's a
I can
more-
see
more and more
downtown
apartment buildings down
being
there.
being a really livable place. I always
Oh,
thought
yeah.
the university should put some small business incubators down there.
Well, at the Gaslight District in San Diego, that,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you know, and they had some of these places like San Diego and Cleveland have the ability for the port which is always on the water,
Yeah.
to be able to develop other things than ugly
Baltimore.
port projects, right? And that's a fight we had at the EDC when I first got on 5 years ago, whatever. And I remember it was a tie vote, 8-8. I spoke,
Really?
and I remember exactly because I could not believe that they were fighting because the port wanted to have a legislative deal to be like California and everywhere where the port authorities can do projects
I remember that.
benefit the community
Yeah.
that are not exactly port projects.
Right.
But it would have to be passed by the legislature, and we wanted support from everybody here.
Right.
Well, the city was very much against it. In fact, in the vote, all the city votes were against it except one, and it was Chad McGill.
Really?
He bucked his appointers and went on the side, and that's the only reason it tied, but it failed because it tied. And I remember
corpused it
saying
up.
that because there was at one time a county judge was screaming at the mayor across the room, and there's a lot of, and I'm sitting here, it was really my first meeting. And I'm going, we are the Corpus Christi Regional Economic Development Corporation.
Right.
Yeah.
If we are going to be against development, why am I in this room?
Yeah.
I didn't sign up for this. And I was.
So where did it land? They never brought it back up?
Okay, so
Okay.
the mayor, the other mayor, I don't know name any names, but everybody kind of figured this out. It was kind of going to everyone in San Patricio County and saying the port's coming to steal your land, and then they don't pay
Yeah.
taxes on their land. And
Yeah, I remember that.
And I'm like, and I remember Sean wrote a letter back and said, I think everybody misunderstands this, and I would like to have a meeting of all the mayors, wherever you want to, and explain this, because once you hear what we want to do,
Yeah.
it's not going to be in your city anyway.
Yeah.
And you'll find out that, I mean, you look at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's a Port of Cleveland.
Yeah.
Okay, it wouldn't be there if it wasn't
Yeah.
for that. You look at all that downtown waterfront in San Diego.
Yeah.
That's all on Port of San Diego property.
So it never
we
came
just
back up
wanted
for
to do
another
what
vote?
other people are doing very successfully.
Yeah.
And so I remember saying, when it came my time to talk, I said, when you walk out this Ortiz Center building and you look out here to the left, you'll see some big storage tanks and some storage stuff in the port, okay? Old stuff, right?
Yeah.
You look to the right, you'll see some laydown yards. You look a little further, you'll see some tank farms. And if we cannot do anything that the public and everyone we think's good down here, then it's going to be a laydown yard.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I don't think you taxing entities want to tax a laydown yard.
Yeah.
Well, I
It's
was.
the only thing you can tax, even if we rent it out to someone and they build a fence, you can tax the fence.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know?
Well,
So,
I-
but if you tax a hotel, say, and they use that example in this meeting, you get to tax the whole cost of that hotel. The hot tax, I mean,
Yeah.
there's
On
hot
the
tax
sales
developed
tax.
from it
Yeah.
that you get. There's liquor tax, there's sales tax.
Yeah.
And you get the benefit of all that.
Yeah, well, I
So what do you
remember
want?
years ago on Blake's show, I was sitting in his house off of Del Mar with Sean Strawbridge, and he was explaining, I think it was while all this stuff was going on. And I think he just had a group of haters who were so adamant,
That's right.
anything that Sean was attached to
Sean
with the port or
derangements in it.
whatever.
They had Sean derangements. in it.
Yeah, yeah.
So it stuck with an 8-8 vote and it never came back around?
No, it was dead. It's killed. We wouldn't take it to the legislature if we didn't have even support from our own
You
citizens.
mentioned San Diego, you mentioned Cleveland. I'll throw in Seattle for the Gas Works Park. Same kind of deal.
Yeah.
It's better than a laydown yard. You have trails, people can walk, they can bike, they can do whatever they want. Walkable area
Well, and
downtown.
The port operates with a different set of rules than the city. So they can do things probably a lot faster and more efficient than Corpus, which is the model of efficiency right now, aren't we?
Well, we've
Yeah.
had a history of being better long-range planners, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
'Cause I spent several terms as chair of the long-range planning down there, and I will tell you, and Jeff Pollock was our strategy officer at the time, and every meeting, we would go down our priorities, and we would go out 5, 10, 15, 50 years,
Right.
because you have to.
Yeah.
These things take a long time. I don't know why the city can't get ahead 20 years, 15 years.
We're on a 2-year recycling program.
Yeah.
Right, and
Apparently,
part
no-
of it, and a lot of it is that problem. The people that run the thing change every 2 years, and part of that's kind of a problem with the port too, because we keep changing port.
Well, they
commissioners.
tried. They've
Yeah.
tried. There was the Charter Revision Committee a few years ago, and they came out with the conclusion we need 4-year terms, which is not a good idea. What probably needs to happen is staggered 2-year terms. So you you don't want 4-year terms because you get so many rookies that never run before. You get people on there who turn out not to be so good at it.
It's
And
a
you don't
great
wanna
idea.
be
It's a
stuck
great
with them
idea
for
if
4
they're
years.
good, and it's a bad idea if
Right.
they're not.
So, but if you stay with the 2-year terms and stagger them, so you're electing half the council each year, then you can sort through the process a little bit better. And we see it out here on the island. Our salvation has been ISAC because you have some institutional knowledge, local institutional knowledge out here.
Right.
And the
Right,
council has had, back to your earlier point, the council has had the good sense to listen to the people out here that put the time in, and that committee has been crucial to pretty much all of the big development, all the stuff that's happened out here that's been positive has gone from that, come through that organization.
There's a big learning curve on all these things, city council, Port of Corpus Christi, all
Oh,
that
yeah.
stuff. And
Yeah.
had I gone back on the port, which I did, and apparently I was overqualified, but I would have been the second tenured person on there, under
Yeah.
Wes Hoskins, who's a San Patricio person.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that's
Well,
kind
that
of sad,
whole-
because when I left, I'd served 2 terms. Charlie Zahn had served
He termed out,
4
didn't he?
terms,
Yeah.
termed out after 12 years, never missed a meeting in 12 years.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Even during COVID. In COVID,
Yeah.
it was me, Rick Vols, who was one of the best commissioners we've ever had, knowledge-wise.
But that
maybe
pro-
the best.
that-
He got tossed out.
Those
And
appointments have become so, I won't say political
sought
is,
after.
is too simplistic a word, but they're not. It becomes a sort of an internal fight at the county and at the city.
Yeah.
And the competence and the institutional knowledge goes out the window.
Right.
It just comes down to who they want on that seat. And if you look at the split on the city council, that you see it every few as these councils move through, they always fall out to a 4-5 split one way or the other. It seems like.
Well, they don't read resumes apparently, but
But
Frank McNiff champions this a lot because Frank has had his name on there
Yeah.
before, and I'll never forget when he gets up and I was trying to be reappointed. He gets up and says, "I like." They ask you 3 minutes why you want to be a port commissioner,
Yeah.
and he said, "Well, there was 2 spots." He said, I'm certainly not as qualified as Dr. Gully. He'd be the best person put on. And this is the guy,
Right.
And he was looking for that second spot. And there's no more honorable thing I've ever seen anyone ever do in
Yeah.
politics or anything like that. Of course, he can't get any traction. And Frank is a merit. What do you call it?
He was the captain of the port. That's what they
Mar-
call the Coast Guard
maritime
guys.
lawyer, right?
Yes.
And that's what he's done.
Yeah.
And if he's not qualified, I don't know who is.
But
But
if-
he
but
can't
the-
ever get any traction either. And they have people that make candles for a living and stuff that put their name in there and get votes sometimes.
But
And-
that's the process that plays out at City Hall and at the County Commission. And the only alternative that I know of is to elect the port commissioners.
Okay, that's something that Brent tried to do. And I'm always mixed on that because that's another process.
Then you're just
Now
taking the
you're
City
camp-
Hall fight to
now
the
you're
port.
campaigning.
No, then
So
you're just
imagine-
taking it
so
to
imagine this.
uneducated voters who
What
don't
if-
understand what the job is and who those
What if
people
Valero-
are.
That's how
Or what
democracy
if-
works.
I know.
One of
But
these things decides, okay, we're going to fund this guy, and we're going to fund this guy, and we're going to throw millions at a
That's
Yeah.
it.
voluntary
Yeah.
position. Then
Yeah.
all of a sudden they could get, as much as I like industry, they don't need to control it either, right?
But we're doing that now. We're just doing it at City Hall. Same thing.
Yeah.
Well, they are. To a
And I
certain
mean,
extent.
and
But
there's industry behind a lot of that, but they don't have the whole throw in money at the vote type thing.
they
It's
don't.
more of it's
They
just an
don't.
influence
But they could
thing.
if they wanted to.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
it benefited them, and a port commissioner or 4 would benefit you, you would run the port.
Yeah.
If you had 4 port commissioners. So you got to be careful about that too. So I don't know what the answer
We
is.
go off
The
down
answer is
down rabbit
try to
trails
pick
on
the
the
best
political
people,
side, and
most qualified.
we lose sight of what we're talking about here. Is that there's real world consequences for that
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Something you said earlier, which I mean, absolutely hit the nail on the head, was saying that okay, because of our bond rating going down, now we've got
We get less
projects
streets
that
on
don't
the
get
island.
funded. Yeah, we get things that don't happen. Projects that we all have voted for and been in favor of in the past.
Yeah.
And because of this decision, all of these projects, everything gets cut, and then everybody's looking around like, "Where's the money, Lebowski?"
Yeah.
And
did-
Well, I think you've got a race going on here in the District 4 council seat.
Yep.
And you have an
There's one
incumbent
in-
who we've
there's-
had both of them on this show.
Yep.
You have an incumbent who was the one of the 5 votes against the Inner Harbor. Now you've got a challenger running who says is going to vote in favor of it.
Yep.
There's your swing vote.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden,
There's
we're
a race in
we
District
wake up
2
in a
too.
different world.
Yeah, District 2.
because
There's a race in District 2 too, and it's the exact same thing.
so if you either one of those swings, now you've got a 5-4 vote going the other way.
Yep.
And I don't know if that's a good strategy to support. I mean, you hear people adamantly supporting the Inner Harbor,
Yeah,
but in my world,
the price is up there.
price is crazy. In my world, dealing with people that are experts in much bigger operations than this around the world, I can't find anybody that's truly, truly qualified that thinks that's a good idea to put it in that location.
But it's permitted, and if you don't do it, then what? Then you're scrounging around for a couple million gallons a day here and there.
We've got till November or
I'm
October.
hearing that.
There's no possible way. I don't think a single project one is going to
Yeah.
be online by then. Tell you the truth, and I told Peter this the other day. And but certainly that Inner Harbor is
Right.
going to take a tremendous
But you're
amount of time.
so
I don't care if you have a permit or not.
So there's a briefing at City Hall a month or so ago, and this has been out there before, that come November, on a daily basis, we'll be taking more water out than we're putting in to the water system. I'm hearing now that November, it's not going to be November. It's going to be quite a bit sooner than that. You're talking, and so if you move it into October, September, now you're in the middle of the city council election season. Now all of a sudden,
Yeah.
when you got people getting ready, going to the polls for early voting, when they're being told we're sucking more water out of the ground than is going in. That's kind of existential.
Well, that's good.
I mean, when you run out of water,
20% of all the water in the United States is groundwater.
Yeah.
Because they're not near an ocean, they're not rivers and stuff. So this is the same all around the world. You have to manage it, of course,
Well, we've
and
got
that's
a
why
short-term
groundwater
problem.
districts are
Yeah.
important. The problem is, we don't have one in this county.
Well, and
That's why I've got 10,500 acres between my neighbor and myself, right on the river. But I'm in San Patricio County, so I go by the rules of
Yeah.
the San Patricio Water Conservation District.
so
But it's right there. And if you look at every desal project, whether it's Inner Harbor, Harbor Island, or all the groundwater projects, the one big problem you have to deal with is what do you do with the saltier water that's the result of it?
Yep.
And it's really bad in seawater because you're starting so salty and making it even saltier. Not so bad in groundwater, an issue, but it still has to be dealt with. You can't continue to dump it in a river. That's
Yeah.
why Robstown can't produce its water anymore, because it comes out of a river that the city's dumping saltier water in, and now
Yeah.
the city has to give them
but
water.
you were talking about the governor not letting it happen. The state right now is sitting on a $30 billion surplus. They can pump enough money in here to get,
Oh, yeah.
if they could make us the origin of desal water for this entire state. But they can't do that if we're fighting over whether or not we want it.
Right,
We have
right.
to we have to get behind
Yeah.
something.
The only thing they could do is, and I don't know if they could do this, is they could help with the regulatory process. For instance, the city of Sinton filed a contested case hearing
yeah,
just recently against
Yeah.
the Evangeline project. And that's bad for the city. And
Yeah.
Well, he said he was going to. He came to city council
And
months
so-
ago, and he said, "I'm going to do this."
Oh, yeah, he's been saying it, and
Yep.
you knew it was going to happen.
Yep.
But then they did it, and even though the city is trying to say, if something goes wrong with your well, we'll make up the difference, so there's no real reason for you to do this, but they're going to throw a monkey wrench in. They already have. So I'm going to go to that meeting Friday and
But
see
but-
my project's permits next in line.
But you look at all of these outlying projects, you're putting a Band-Aid on a bleeding artery. We need desal.
Yeah.
We need some,
Something that's drought proof.
yes.
Yeah.
And but we can't seem to, it gets mixed up in the city hall politics, and then that spills over to the port. At some point, you got to have to make a decision. You can go out and do Evangeline, you can do various
I
projects.
think the answer is all of the above.
At
It's not
the-
any one of
well,
those things. The
at-
answer is you're going to
if
do
you
a lot
do
of things.
desal, you don't need the other projects.
No, you're
No,
going
you
well,
do.
until
still
the
do.
Harbor
Short-term.
Island comes
Yeah.
in, yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
and Harbor
will-
Island's going to be a while. And
It'll-
that's
it'll
great, but
save the day.
it's not a Harbor Island or Inner Harbor. I mean, again, you can do all of the above.
Yeah.
Well, the thing that gets me is when they come out to this official curtailment, which to a degree we were at curtailment during stage 3 when they said you can't water but every other day.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
they had it
Fill
on
your
the,
pool,
on
cover
newscasts.
your
It
pool,
just showed
yeah.
when you can and can't water.
Yeah.
You know, people can't wash their cars, rinsing off their boats, all that.
Yeah.
You know, and everybody's like, oh, I'm going to do my part. You know, you're showering with a bucket in the shower. For
Yeah.
crying out loud. You
Then
know,
your
and-
water bill went up.
Yeah, and your water bill goes up, and there's no
Because you're not
way-
using enough.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the city says, well, you know, that we can't, for some odd reason, we can't give a report weekly, monthly, or whatever that shows like, hey, what good or what stuff we're doing. Ted Capestop was talking about this years ago,
Yeah.
and it's like, well, you sure as Dickens give me a bill every month with an amount
Right.
on there,
Yeah.
right? Like, how can't we see if different parts of town are doing, you know, showing some
Yeah.
great signs of water conservation or all
Right,
this,
right.
and no, we get nothing.
Well, this island is a perfect example. We were trying to conserve water, so what does this island do? They put gravel in their front yard so they don't have to water the grass. Because
Yeah.
if you water out here,
Yeah.
I put 5 inches of clay over my whole yard
Yeah.
before I even put the grass down, just so it holds some
I
water.
got rocks.
Then we
Yeah,
got to
so
pay
the
more
rocks.
for an
So what happened is,
impermeable surface.
what happened on the island? All of a sudden, there's not enough circulation in the pipes, and it's getting stagnant. So
Yeah.
you'd go around the island, there'd be fire hydrants turning off, turning
remember
wide
that.
open,
Yeah.
running down here,
13
flooding
million
it.
gallons a month
13
at
million a
one
month
point.
was
Yeah.
having to dump for
Yeah.
no reason at all because we weren't using enough water to keep our
Yeah.
pipes. And this may be an issue around town if we were able to
Well, you know, I
conserve
haven't
enough water.
followed up on that in a couple of years. There were, I think it was 1,200 dead-end water mains. And they out here on the island, they would run down a fingertip, and they called it plating. But what it basically, it was a film that would build up on the inside of the pipes. So one day you would look at your water, and it would have no chlorine. You could, and then 2 weeks
Yeah.
later, it tastes like they're shocking a swimming pool.
They had to descale the pipes. Yeah.
Because they're having to blast that chlorine through there, and then that's when they would come out and open the fire hydrants. And
Yeah.
so we're in water conservation, and you drive down the street and you see
Yeah.
city crews opening fire hydrants,
Yeah.
running it straight down into
I
the
was
storm
mad
sewer.
because they wouldn't get it across the street to my yard and water my yard for me.
I don't even know if they're still doing that.
So,
They might still be doing that. I haven't checked on it in years because you still got dead-end water mains. Now, they did build a second pipe, a second line to the island. That may have mitigated
yeah,
some of
and
that. I
that,
don't
and,
that
know.
then
should
they,
hopefully
and they
help.
built the water
I
tower.
haven't seen
Yeah.
them. I haven't seen them doing hydrants in years. I haven't seen
No,
that.
no,
happen
they
in
haven't
a
done it in a
while,
long
no.
time.
But you
Just,
see
just so
those-
people understand, we're not doing that right now.
Well, you can see see those. There's an apparatus they put on the fire hydrants. It's got a little box and a tube, and that's what those are. They got a timer in there, and maybe at night when nobody's around, and they dump it. I still see them around. I don't know if they're still doing it, but I still see those things on the fire hydrants from time to time.
So when we get to the
We
critical
roll our
mass,
cars up next to it and water
Yeah, exactly.
wash
I'm
our cars.
already put a tarp in the back of my truck and do an Alabama hot tub.
so
Yeah.
so we get to this critical thing. Right now, they're speaking of foundations. They're only letting you do your foundation, water your foundation on your trash day, the second trash day.
Oh, you can't water it all the
once.
time.
Yeah.
We don't have to do that on the island because we got
They-
sand.
Yeah, we don't have
It's
that.
not
You
the
do that in
clay.
clay.
No, but you got bulkheads and you got
Yeah.
caps.
Yeah.
Well-
You do that in clay.
Yeah, yeah, we have that clay on the south side. It's just my yard. Thank goodness it died because of the freeze.
Yeah.
Thank goodness that grass died. You don't have to
Yeah,
water
so I don't
it.
have to water it now.
I'm growing some really nice green weeds. In mine.
Yeah. So
You just mow the crabgrass down.
Yeah.
When you drive by, it looks nice. Just don't walk on
My
it.
backyard, for some reason, has gotten into that water table, and you can't kill that grass. It looks beautiful sometimes,
Yeah.
but my front yard,
Well, we only got 7 minutes left, so
Let's-
what do we
let's
have
talk about
going
some
on?
fun thing. Well,
we
first of
had
all-
we had the kickoff to the Barefoot Mardi Gras here last Friday.
Yes, we did.
We had a throwdown.
We did.
got
That
a
was
new
a
king
great
and
party
queen.
here at Docs. Really, really good. There's a lot of things going on, and I think they're trying to get a lot of businesses involved with the whole Barefoot Mardi Gras season. So
Yeah.
it just doesn't go from the kickoff party and then the parade. So there's a lot of things going on in between. And if you go check our website out, barefootmardigras.com, you can see, and the Facebook page, we listed on there too. You can see the list of all the things that everybody's doing.
And just for the record, we're going to live stream the Mardi Gras parade here.
Yes, that's exciting.
On
I love
YouTube.
that.
And a lot changing. Other things going on with Island Moon Live. Stick to it. Follow us Live Moon on Island Moon Live on YouTube and on Island Moon Newspaper on Facebook.
Right.
Right. So
And
right,
we'll have a
right-
radio announcement here before long.
I'm excited about that. So right now, people can watch us on YouTube, right?
Yes,
Yeah. And
yes.
then-
So YouTube and Facebook, the webpage, Island Moon webpage is getting an uplift. We're doing
Nice.
a lot of work
Nice.
behind the scenes right now.
Yeah.
So
We're in turnaround.
yes,
We're in turnaround
exactly.
mode.
Yeah. So it's all hands on
And,
deck.
and
around the
we're
Island Moon.
probably
Nice.
going to change our daytime, our time for this show. It's probably going to move a little later in the morning.
Yep.
And
Ooh,
it's
excellent.
going
That
to
works for me.
move to it's going to move to a different radio station. And we're also, as you say, the islandmoon.com, our website. I'm moving to get our 15 years of archives available to the public.
That'd be really
we're going to
fun.
get Ronnie's columns since he was
Yeah,
doing a
since
view
he-
from a van put out there.
No, that's awesome because then people can go back and research things.
Yeah.
Whereas right now we can only see the
Yeah.
one issue.
As the moon expands and the website is up with the archives and all the other fun stuff that's going through,
Yeah.
with kind of the input that we've had from people on the radio show and then people following us on YouTube,
Yeah.
you know, we're expanding, we're hitting more markets and working with a lot bigger players.
Yeah.
And so with that, you know, comes a little growth and a little reset. But
And,
we're,
and I'm also trying to focus some on, like we were talking earlier about, getting into our, not just standard advertising, but direct audience communication in our feeder markets.
Yes, exactly.
That's something that I have some background in, and it's been on the back burner for a while, and now that we've found ourselves in this position of retooling everything,
Yes.
I'm trying to include that as part of what
Yeah.
we're doing. I'm
Well, and
talking to
all
both of the CVB
Yeah.
organizations.
All of that is thanks to our great listeners and great viewers like you, and the people that we work with in city government, local government, the port.
Yeah.
A lot of that. So we get to be a good voice for a lot of that. You know, and we've been the voice for the island since '96.
We try. We don't do ambush
yeah,
work
no
here.
ambush videos.
I was thinking the other day, when I started out with Jim Lago, Jim would go down those rabbit holes. He'd pick somebody out and just work them over, and then he'd go to break.
Yeah. Didn't have a lot of repeat guests that way.
Oh yeah, he had to be mad about something.
But that was the talk show format. I went into it in my column this week. It generated at WOAI Radio in San Antonio, and it started with a poker game. They had a poker game, and somebody said, "Hey, there's a radio station for sale. How much does it cost? Well, how much is in the pot?" And that's how Clear Channel Communications was born.
Seriously.
which is now
Yeah.
iHeart.
And there's a
Media.
guy named John Barger who was there. Dan Cook was there, he's the one that told me about it. And then later I met John Barger, who he came kind of birthed the talk radio format. The Call of the Ryle was what the guy had, Alan Dale. Right? He'd go on at night. He hated everything and everybody, and he had a great audience. And it's
Outrage sells.
yeah, he didn't like anything. Whatever you got, I'm against. What do you got? I'm against it.
I'm against it.
And that sprouted that whole industry. Then Rush Limbaugh and the whole thing came out
And
of
then
that.
they bought regular, music stations, and now it's like it runs the whole thing.
Well, they deregulated in '95.
I remember
and
that.
None of the radio stations had any money. They were all locally owned, and if you had cash in the bank in those days, that was in the hostile takeover days.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody'd come in and buy up 51% of your stock and raid your employee retirement fund. And so the Clear Channel, they birthed it at this poker game, and the gentleman's agreement was nobody takes any money out. So it kept growing and growing and growing. And when they deregulated, and all of a sudden you could buy stations, none of the radio stations had any money except them. They bought up, I think it was 1,100 stations.
I remember those days. That was
They went to 7
Yeah.
formats. Every city in the country had 7 formats and 7 DJs. One guy in Denver and Golden, Colorado is on 149 markets all over the country.
As voice casting.
Yeah.
It ruined it. It killed the
So what
killed
we're
the radio
doing,
biz
so
for
what we're
us.
doing here is kind of back to the grassroots.
There
It's
Yeah.
old school. We do it live, and sometimes we say stuff that
We
Well,
should.
grab back.
I was in in New Orleans after Katrina, and the only way you could get information was AM radio. It was the only
there.
thing out there.
Yeah.
When everything goes sideways,
You still have that.
if you got power to power up an AM station, that's how you get information.
That's what you sign up for when you got the radio license back in the day, and Lago was standard about this. They went off the air during Harvey or one of those things,
Yeah.
and he was so GD
yeah.
mad that because radio stations
Right.
don't go off there. You sit there, you're the last one with the hurricane goes
Yeah.
over, the eye goes over the
Right,
tower,
yeah.
you're in there broadcasting because that's what you do. It's like the people
Yeah.
who work at the hospital. They don't leave.
They can't leave, yeah.
They can't leave.
In New Orleans, they had to move. All of the radio stations were down. There was no power in the city.
Right.
So the radio crews, news crews, all got together and went to Baton Rouge and found a stick up there that you could hear in New Orleans. And that's where, at night, we would turn on that. They would go on at about 7 o'clock in the evening, and that's where you go to find out where to go pick up MREs and where the rescue crews were going to be and all that sort of
same
thing.
thing with the-
The sheriff from Jefferson County went on the air and said, "I hereby deputize all the citizens of Jefferson Parish
That's
to
classic,
shoot the looters on sight." Next thing you know, all the looters are in New Orleans.
Yeah, that's what would happen, like in Oklahoma or Central Texas. You'd be on there, and there's unlike hurricanes, you see them coming. Tornado, you have to get on immediately and go boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
It's
get
time.
you got on and tell them, hey, it's going on.
So that's the spirit that we're working with
Yeah.
here. Is this show? Stick with us, and this show is going to evolve. We'll have an announcement here in a week or so, and we're moving in. It's a positive move for us. It's
Yeah.
going to be good, and I think it's going to be Of course, we're always thinking about the island. What's best for the island, and I think in this case, there's a lot of things coming together.
Yeah.
All in one place.
Yeah. Well, and a special thank you to everybody that's been a part of the show before, and all the
Yeah.
people that have kind of helped. And you know, from way back in the day when you and Lago jumped on and started Island Moon Thursdays, you know,
It
all the way
started-
up to our friends here at Doc's Seafood and Steaks
Yeah.
for hosting
Yeah.
us and everybody.
Thank you, Docs.
Billy
It started
making-
with one show. Lago asked me to come on a Tuesday morning, and it was supposed to be one show. And he came out of a break, and he was playing music, and I said, "That sounds like Delbert McClinton." And he goes, "That is Delbert McClinton. Come back next week."
Yeah.
And so every Tuesday morning, I'm slipping down there. Got to
In
get
your
up at
case, it
4
wasn't
o'clock
who
in
you
the
knew,
morning.
it was what you knew.
No,
Yeah.
Wasn't it fun to go down memory? You get Lago on talking about that.
Yeah.
I get him talking about old school radio, and he just would go on and on, just like you.
Well,
like.
he birthed talk radio in this market. He was a DJ, and as things evolved, he went back to, I think it was Clear Channel, and said, "Hey, you got this new format that's coming around, which, by the way, you guys invented. Maybe we should try that." And he brought in talk radio to this
And
market.
one of the best things now is running on YouTube and Facebook. We're not completely restricted on time.
Yeah.
No, we're not
So-
introducing Eric.
Yes, but yes. So no one else to jump in. What events do we have, Debbie?
All right, we got. I know you had Dotson on earlier, and I assume he talked about the Cheryl's Veteran Park dedication is today.
Yes.
That's
so
today at 10.
it's today at 10. I'm going to be zipping over there right after this because that's where that helicopter looks like it's on a
Yeah.
lollipop. So
Yeah.
it's a cool park and it looks really nice. Saw them cleaning it up yesterday when I was down there. Art Walk is Saturday night. You know, we love to go downtown and see Art Walk, walk around, check out the murals, check out all the bars and restaurants. The
Yeah.
whole point of that is to get you to go down there. I love Art Walk. And here on the island, I know Galentine's is going at the Slip on Saturday night. They also Friday night they have a bingo night at the Slip. Here on Saturday, I think they're doing an Adopt a Beach cleanup at Packery Flats.
Yeah.
8:30 in the morning. So if you want to do that, I think you can.
They
even
always
rent-
find money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Oh, well,
Every
I'm
time
there.
someone finds
That
cash.
sounds excellent. That sounds great.
Well, they used to do the Spoil Island cleanup, and until recently, we haven't had any Spoil Islands to clean up, so they can't. That
We
was
haven't-
part.
we
That
haven't
was part
we
of
haven't set
that.
one on fire recently. So
Yeah, it was
that's
part
good.
of that process that
Yeah.
you're talking about.
There's a brunch club at Bus on Saturday. It's like the Saturday after Art Walk, so people could go. It's a dance party during the daytime, so that's a fun thing to check out. And here on the island, the Pelican is doing their Super Bowl, where a bunch of people on the island make soup, and you get to go test them out. It's like 2 p.m. So before you go watch the real Super Bowl on TV, you can go have soup.
Well, you
at the
got to tell you,
Pelican.
the problem with the Super Bowl starting at 5 o'clock is the crowd gets lubricated.
Really
They're
early.
they're
They
used to
start
11
early.
o'clock kickoffs, and the next thing
Yeah.
you know, it's 5 o'clock, and everybody's bumping into
Sunday,
walls.
yeah.
Who cares?
The slip
Everybody's
is-
asleep by halftime.
I
There
think
was a
the
game?
Slip was open. Is doing a potluck, a Mardi Gras themed potluck for the Super Bowl.
Well,
And
I-
their doors are opening early, so I am at like at 2. So
I saw
imagine
I
it's
saw
gonna be a party
something
there.
this past weekend at the Gaff in Port Aransas that I'm going to steal. They did a yappy hour, and I went over there, and the place was full of people with their dogs. So I think when we start poker runs back up,
Yeah.
I want to do a yappy hour. Maybe we do it as a benefit for the dog
Oh,
park
yeah.
or something. Because you got all the winter Texans here with their little yappers.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, Tuesday night bingo, the Kiwanis bingo is started back up at Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
I think the first one is just this past Tuesday. And the one that's right before Barefoot Mardi Gras Parade will be a big Mardi Gras theme. I imagine the King and Queen will be there.
They
and
didn't
I
send
know
me any
that
press releases for the bingo this year. I don't know.
I happen to see it on Facebook, but I haven't seen it in
Yeah.
a lot of other places.
Yeah.
And the only other thing is the Barefoot Mardi Gras people are putting on, it's not a poker run, it's a dice roll run.
Yeah.
But very similar, and that's going to be that Thursday before. So.
I hear Stevie Stark coming in.
Yes.
It's time for us
Love
to
Stevie Stark.
Fade off into the island sunset.
Yep, but we will see you guys. If not this coming Thursday, before we'll have some fun announcements and great things coming up. Stick around. We thank you guys for watching, and we will see you soon.
To me, you're all having a time, and you're salt and lime and say, thank God it's Padre. Thank God it's Padre. We're getting that GA, it's gonna open soon. I know it's true, cause I read it in the Island Moon. Never have to leave, you're gonna see, cause nothing good ever happens on TV. We'll meet on Soapback Beach to hang out with the bums. There's no need to wait until the weekend comes. You're on an island time, bring your salt and lime and say